Hello and welcome back to the Canadian Contenders League. Long time no see for both me and the audience, and me and Time Delight. Time Delight, how are you doing?
I'm great. I'm happy to be back on CCL for the first time since I think early in season one. It's been too long, to say the very least.
Yeah, well, I've casted with you a little more recently than that, but non CCL, and it's always fun to come here to CCL. Speaking of CCL, we are actually in the middle of playoffs. We can have a look at that bracket really fast. Look here: Aerial Rise, Seer, Achieve, and Agony were the bottom four seeds, with Aerial Arise moving on to the semifinals. We just watched that game between Shift North and TBD, which was actually Aerial Arise. And, well, Aerial Arise was very, very dominant, moving on to the grand finals, which will be on Friday. On the other side, we have Achieve and Agony, of which Achieve won. And that's the game we're going to be watching: Achieve versus NOOTERS, who, yeah, I mean, NOOTERS is a team I'm certainly excited for. Can you take a guess why? Time Delayed?
If I had to take a random gander, both for the name and because Pengu's on it, I'm just taking a shot in the dark here. Am I anywhere close?
Mostly just because I really like Peng. No, it's because Pengu's on it, and I casted for them earlier in the season, and it was a super fun cast. Just seeing this raw. I don't necessarily want to say aggression, but it was a very clean play style that played out very quickly, and that's something I'm really looking forward to seeing from these rosters. Which, if we have a look at the rosters, we can get a little bit more of an in-depth idea of what we're looking at between both of these teams.
NOOTERS will be on your left side, at least for the roster showing. Screen, Trist, Storms, Snake, Pengu, and Quartz. Trist, I saw, actually, no, it was Storms, Power, and I saw just last night. I've seen Storms twice in about 24 hours. It hasn't been all that long. Achieve Esports bringing through a different roster than maybe the last time some of you saw them between some different leagues, but they haven't changed just about anything here in CCL. You have Badger, Shu, Gingy, VDOT, and Stews. I'm looking for Stews to pop off.
Yeah, no, me too. I mean, both super talented rosters, and especially, I mean, if we talk about Neuters under the direction of two times world champ Pengu, I mean, hopefully, I certainly hope they're going to be doing quite well here. But in any case, we also need to kind of figure out where we're going. We do have map bans for you as well, so we go ahead and have a look at that. We're going to be seeing Neuters starting off the map veto, and Skyscraper already off the
Boo.
board. That makes me a little sad. Actually, the decider for the last match was going to be Skyscraper, but we did not need it. Aerial Arise was on point.
Yeah, that I watched that series, and given the fact that I am on an hour and a half earlier than I was originally scheduled, that will tell you enough. I'm not gonna lie to you. I got a DM saying, "Hey, you're about to go on," and I had the stream up on my other screen, but I wasn't fully paying attention to it. I was just playing PUBG. I'm like, "Oh, okay. It's a good thing I died." I'm not very good at PUBG. I just play it 'cause it's fun. Skyscraper and Theme Park, though, both removed. Two of the newer maps to the map pool. Cafe, though, being removed entirely is probably the happiest thing for me.
Yeah, I personally am not a big fan of Cafe. It can be very straightforward at times, and a lot of the flexibility goes to defenders, but they choose not to be super flexible because they didn't have to historically. Um, Now with Bank off the board as well, that's another newer map, but that interestingly leaves Border on the board. Not sure if we're going to
Ooh.
see either of the teams pick it, but Neuters is going to be starting us off with our first pick, and there you go. It is a Border, everyone's favorite, ultimately supremely attacker-sided map, with Shift North picking attack. Wait, that's a Shift North. That's not right. That is, I assume, Achieve picked attack here. That makes more sense. But but moving on, yeah, we have Neuters picking attack on Chalet here for our second map of the night.
Yeah, those two top logos, don't worry about them. They don't exist. Pretend that Shift North is actually GV Sports and Aerial Rise is actually Neuters. We'll just move on. The final two bands, I'm expecting Oregon to be one of these two bands, and I'm expecting Club to be the final map. That's my shot in the dark. Of course, it really depends on how the team's going to play it. I don't know how that's going to go. Oregon, there you go. There's your ban, and Club should be the decider if I had to take a shot in the dark here. But you never really know between the squads. Yeah, there you go. Club's the decider. Villa
Mhm.
is banned out by Achieve, and that is uniform with how they've played throughout the season.
Once again, Shift North is going to be starting on attack, even though they're not actually even playing. So, no, really looking forward to this series. I mean, between Border and Chalet, those are two maps that are very traditionally attacker side, and with attacker repick, it's really shaking things up and forces the defenders to make some pretty, I don't necessarily want to say aggressive plays, but they really have to start taking control of the pacing of the round to themselves, or else it can really get hectic. Now, there you go. A little more accurate on the sides. We have Newt Neuter starting on attack on border. We have Achieve starting on attack on Chalet, and Newt Neuter starting on attack on Clubhouse. So, yeah, there you go. That's what we're going to be looking at for tonight. At least two of those three maps.
I'm excited for Border. I don't care about the other two maps. Border's my favorite map to be played here. Chalet,
Yeah, and
I've
it's guaranteed.
That's true. It is. We're not going to see a possible third map of Border or a possible third map of Skyscraper. Clubhouse, which is the least fun out of the three maps, I think is the decider, which is also the most fun in that same right, because it allows these teams to go frag as much as they want. Notably, I'm looking at Nooters to play a little bit more aggressive on Clubhouse should we get there, compared to what they would on either Chalet or Border, because of the differential in how the maps have been played and how much the maps have been played. Everybody knows how to play Clubhouse. Some different teams have strats on both Border and Chalet, and that's really up to the squads themselves.
Yeah. Now, one thing that I actually have been thinking about quite a bit recently with the attacker repick is how the operator bans really shake things up. I mean, if we look at it, like Finca is becoming a much more popular ban because a lot of the times it's like, well, if you're gonna bring a Maverick or a Thatcher, like you don't have to, right? It's no longer you have to bring it every time you have the option to bring it, and so you're not going to see it every round. And a lot of the times, Thatcher, Maverick, they weren't brought for their, removing utility off the wall. They were brought for other reasons. They were forced into more flexible rules that now they're not in. And so they are seen as a little bit less potent, I think. Maybe that is a very hot take, but I like my takes straight out of the oven. And if you can't handle them, then maybe get out of the kitchen.
It's a great joke. I love that one. That one's pretty good. I want to bring more of a spicy take where I don't know if Thatcher really should be brought in some of these scenarios because of how different that makes your comp. Everybody's practiced with Thatcher off the board because when you go into scrims, you're playing up against a team that doesn't want to play against Thatcher, or you don't want to play against Thatcher on the defensive side, which is completely understandable. And in that same right, that means you don't practice with Thatcher. So you have a uniform attack way of playing each and every map, or at least hopefully most of the maps, maybe Neuters not on Skyscraper. That was their insta-ban. I'd have to assume that way. Sometimes we never know. But that bit aside, you don't want to try and change up your entire attack around a single operator when maybe that single operator doesn't bring as much as you'd think, because remember, Electroclaw tricking and Bandit Battery tricking still exists. You can be shut down even bringing that operator.
Yeah, I will say there's definitely something to be said about the flexibility of being able to bring that operator, being able to incorporate that into your lineup. I think it's very interesting with the attacker repick because now you get to decide, okay, they're on this site. Let's bring this lineup and do this attack, right? That gives the attackers a lot more flexibility in building strats, where before it's like the defenders had all the flexibility, right? They would build their strat and then they would get to decide what operators to bring, and the attackers would just bring a baseline of 5 operators for like literally the entire map, and it was super boring. And that's just not the case anymore. You have these options where you can decide, oh, you know what? Let's bring a fuse. Let's bring this Montagna, right? In fact, I mean, Parabellum is bringing fuse ballistic shield. I talked about that a little bit, and they won with it twice. See, there are so many more viable operators in this game now because you get to decide what situation you're actually using them in.
I usually like to bring Fuse with the AK-12. AK-12, in my opinion, is one of the better guns in the entire game. But again, personal opinion, you may like to use the PMM with the
what about the
ballistic
LMG?
Shield. Yeah, I mean, the LMG is nice, but it's not as good. You're not Finca when you bring that LMG. I think that's the most important part. But my awful jokes and terrible takes aside, into map number 1, I want to get an opinion on Border, because Border is a newer map. It is one of the 3 newest maps to the pool, and with some of the changes brought around it since it was last in competitive play, and some of these teams being a little bit more scrim teams, maybe Neuters compared to Achieve, because, well, obviously, Pengu's a little bit busy casting Pro League. How do you feel about them going into map number 1?
Well, I mean, we're about to find out the teams are actually ready, so I'll go ahead and get us in there. We can have a little bit preview of what it looks like while I talk about it, because Border's historically very, 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 very attacker-sided. And honestly, that might not even be enough varies if I'm going to be entirely honest. And a lot of it comes from the fact that it is very easy to take away flexibility from the defenders, simply by the fact there's a lot of crossfires you can build. There's key map control that is no longer as easy to hold. And on the other hand, there are some sites that are more viable. I think realistically, this map can become more defender sided than it has shown to be historically. If only for the fact that if you really know what you're doing, you can build these like rotation circuits and try and lead the attackers on sort of a wild goose chase. But it's definitely a hard thing to do. It really is. But in any case, starting off with our operator bands, that's Haban and Thatcher off the board. Who was surprised? I mean, I'm certainly not.
I'm a little surprised that Habana is removed. I'm looking at some of our stats that the amazing Wikipedia team have provided. 19.5% is the ban rate for Habana. Flores is at 36. Thatcher's unsurprising at 87, so I'm not too surprised by that. Valkyrie is the most banned operator in CCL and continues to be just that. Banned out this time around by the NOOTERS squad, and Achieve will close things out with Mira, the second most banned operator, at least on the defensive side. Everybody's following their uniform ways. Maybe Achieve throwing a little bit of a curveball with the Habana ban rather than the Flores, but on this specific map, it really only makes sense to ban out the Habana instead of those RCXDs. On today's episode of Surprising Nobody, look at your bans. You'll be shocked.
Now, what you might be shocked by, however, is Customs Supply is going to be our first site. This is a
Yo?
site that traditionally has been considered not even vaguely viable because most of the roof above it is destructible and it is very, very, very hard to hold on to CC. However, what I do really like is the Echo play here. Echo, I think, can be very potent because, like I mentioned, a lot of the map above it is very destructible. You bring Echo, you bring a shotgun with him, he still has the bearing 9, so it's not like he's living without a pretty potent weapon. And then on top of that, he has the option to just kind of ping people and shoot them through the floor. Should you manage to retake control of CC, which is a big if, I will say, but like I mentioned, being able to make your way around the map is going to be key as a defender on this map.
And unsurprisingly so, with the availability of the hard breach and the soft breach on the attacking side, you're going to want to avoid a lot of this site specifically, and the site proper, at least if you're playing on the defending side. You're going to see a lot of an extension around horizontally, and you're probably going to see a little bit of a vertical extension as well. You can see a Tachanka. Yes, I said that out loud. No, you did not mishear me. A Tachanka in round number 1 of the CCL semifinals. Achieve is going to bring Badger on that one, albeit Thatcher, or Tachanka is not as surprising as he used to be, but still a little bit of a curveball pick, if I do say so myself. The castle being brought, bringing arguably the worst weapon in the game, but still a very sound kit overall, with now 4 castle barricades compared to what it used to be. I like the comp coming through from Achieve, and I also like the counter being brought by NOOTERS.
Yeah, I mean, let's have a look at this counter. I mean, Ace is on the board, right? And obviously is elected to be played. And there is this, I think they've discovered there's a little bit of a weakness in their setup right now. Between Passport and between this jail position, it's going to be pretty easy to get into the site. And I mean, yeah, let's look at this right now. They're in the site. They're just kind of walking in. They're going for a plant. And while there's some firefights going back and forth and a lot of fire going around, yeah, very quick round. Doesn't seem to be going a very attacker sided this time. Mr. Beast, or Mr. B, Mr. Beast, Mr. B is the last remaining member of NOOTERS so far, and yeah, CC control still maintained by Achieve. Maybe this sort of vertical control is a little more potent than I was expecting a second ago, and especially with that chunk on the board, dying a lot of holds, very very potent. And yeah, I mean, I love this setup by Achieve. They know what they're doing, and hopefully NOOTERS figures that out and understands we're not going to be able to just pull some random stuff, out of thin air and win with it. We're going to have to really think about
Oh,
what you're
no.
doing.
Don't give
Why?
Mr. B 1v1s. Please don't give him the 1v1s. This is a round you should be winning every day of the week, but Mr. B can bring this back. An ARX with a 2x in hand, along with 2 flashbangs, 2 air jabs, and 80 seconds on the clock. This round is not over by any means. Senpai is bringing that Mark 14 Senpai Shu specifically, as it's Senpai because that's in his name. Stop doing that, by the way, comp players. Stop putting weird things in your name if it's not your name. Please and thank you.
Yeah, it makes it really hard for us, and obviously making life easy for the caster should be your number one goal in life.
Exactly.
Um, but no, Stu's and Shu looking to build some sort of a crossfire here as Mr. B starts making his way into the site. Now, they haven't built a crossfire yet, and Mr. B is going to find one of them, but, well, wisely going to fall back. They really need to build this crossfire. They need to really have a good understanding of the position of Mr. B, or else this could start
No
going
way.
poorly. Now, the plant is going to start going down, but isn't quite going to go down, and there is definitely some ability for them to hide behind this I mean, I don't even know what it's called. It's been so long since I've casted on Border. I never cast on this map, and now Mr. B with 2 more kills is gonna find the ace for the first round. What? What just happened? It was a 3v1 achieve. You had an echo, and he jumped out. The the tension. Oh my goodness.
All right, GG's. Nooters win 7-0. I think that's we can all go home. Thanks so much for watching, guys. That's it for the CCL semis. We'll see you guys Friday. Wow. That's my deduction from that round. Wow. I said don't give them 1v1s. That's exactly what they did. Overextending into situations you definitely should not. And really unsurprisingly, Mr. B wins his gunfights. An ARX is a nuts weapon. Slap a 2x on it, and Mr. B behind that trigger, and you have a very deadly trio. Didn't even have to use the flashbangs, notably enough, and, well, still walking away with a very, very concise round on the attacking side, albeit 4 of their teammates fell beforehand, but a 3k ace clutch is not the end of this for Achieve. They're still in the map, obviously. It was round number 1, but that's gotta hurt. Like, so bad if you are on this defending side. That is a round you should be winning every day that ends in Y, and spoiler alert, Yali, they all do.
Yeah, they all end in Y. In case you were unaware, um, I think really kind of what happened there. I have a little bit of an assessment on the psychology of this. I can't say that I am on Achieve Esports or anything like that, but it kind of seems like, well, like I mentioned, Border is a map that requires flexibility, aggression, being able to rotate around it and start, be unpredictable. And there's a fine line between that and throwing your discipline out the window. And I think Achieve Esports kind of stepped beyond that for just a momentary second, losing their echo, probably their most important operator in that situation. I mean, that is not, it's just not a good situation for you to be in. But in any case, that's not the situation we're in anymore, right? We're in bathroom now. One of my favorite sites on this map, by the way, and Castle, bringing Castle on this as well. I mean, I think Castle can be very potent on this site. He has the ability to kind of cut any of these maps in half, but with Bangu himself gonna find his head, he's not gonna be cutting any maps in half. And, well, at some point, I am confident the Neuters are gonna flex tape this thing back together.
That's a lot of damage. That's all I have
Is
to
a
say.
lot of damage.
Achieve Esports on the defensive side have a little bit of a road back into this one. The castle falling early is not the end of the world, at least in terms of the operator selection, but Badger got 2 frags in that last round before falling. Granted, they were on the Tachanka and had a lot of that utility denial and area denial playing those Shamika launchers. It was a very deadly combination, but Achieve are now missing a decent bit of their plant denial. Of course, the Goyo already putting down those canisters does help just a little bit, and only 2 C4s remaining does not help whatsoever. And, well, now they're down to 1. VDOT and Stews in a 2 versus 5. Trist is still alive. Mr. B is still above full HP, and notably is 6-0 with an ace already in this map. Nice opening C4 to bring things back. A 2 versus 4 is not unquestionable, but you still have a long road back into this with only 70 seconds left. Nooters are looking good with the real estate they've built.
I feel like Achieve Esports kind of went back on what they did last time and sort of became too passive. There's no pressure for Neuters, and they're able to just take whatever map control they want. And ultimately, I think that is going to be the downfall of this round. While there are still some wisely placed nitros, although that is going to get sniped out, it is going to alert the position of that player to VDOT. Stu's world is ultimately going to fall, leaving VDOT in a 1v3. He makes a swing. He does find one, but unfortunately, there is a second player there. And that is going to be the round in favor of Neuters 2-0.
That was a little funny. VDOT flicked to a person they weren't looking at rather than shooting at the person they were.
Yeah.
A A double peak is the end of you in just about every situation. Unless you're as cracked as you are jacked and go to the gym 74 days a week, you're unfortunately not going to win situations like that, especially when both players with good weapons are peaking you. You're out of luck, unfortunately enough for them. Achieve are out of time, at least round number 2. 2-0 to NOOTERS. The attacking side coming out with a bang, using that attacker repick relatively well. We've only seen them switch off 2 or 3 operators through 2 rounds, but granted, that's 30% of their operator selection switched off of, so see that statistic as you please.
Moving on to Armory, and this is the tertiary site here. Contrary to popular belief, it is not actually that great of a site. Sorry, ranked players, I hate to break it to you. But in any case, it can still be very potent in the hands of a talented team like Achieve Esports. And honestly, okay, I've said this word so many times during the last cast and this cast as well, and I can't stop saying it. Flexibility, right? Especially on this map. It's going to be about the flexibility. Once we finish up this round, once we get an idea of what Achieve is up to, what are they gonna change? How are they gonna make neuters get a little confused and hopefully catch them off guard once or twice?
I'm a little surprised the NOOTERS are doing as well as they are, especially here on border. This is set in the Middle East, for all of you unfamiliar. You all used to remember the do not attempt to board the helicopter. That was probably the greatest thing about this game. Then they removed it, which is also probably the greatest change about this map specifically. But, there are penguins playing in the desert, yet up 2-0. Little intricacy that has absolutely nothing to do with the game, yet I find morbidly ironic nonetheless.
Yeah, a little bit of intricacy, but some other intricacy is all these long angles that Stu's World is able to play with. I saw this map played in Pro League once, and it was based entirely on the long angles. If you can control these angles, if you can be more aware of what exists here than your attackers, then that can be huge. Now, Neuters, obviously, they have had a look at this map. They understand what they're doing, and I think they're really just looking for anything that might possibly be built, and they're doing a pretty good job at it. And meanwhile, I really like this as well. They're applying pressure in these places with most of their team, and they have other members of their team kind of scoping things out, understanding what they need to do, building a plan, and taking their time. Now, this East overtake can be very potent, but obviously, if they don't know
Ooh.
where the defenders are, actually removing them from the situation could be pretty difficult.
Did that Electroclaw land? I don't know if they denied that Electroclaw or the Selma charges on that wall. They did. What an Electroclaw. It denied 2 of the 3 being thrown on. That is a massive waste on the attacking side, albeit 1 does get through, and Simba, aka Pengu, still has 1 left over. But an even trade 1-for-1 thus far. There's only 75 seconds left in this round, Yali, and NOOTERS, compared to what they have in the previous 2 rounds, have not made as much real estate nor man advantageous positioning compared to what they've already had, and this could be indicative of Achieve coming back in what would be the tertiary site and the worst of possibly the 3 they've already played.
That would be very good for Achieve, and here's something to think about. Perhaps the reasons that we traditionally consider this not to be a very good site could be the reasons it is a good site. It allows, while it allows the attackers a lot of flexibility, it does allow the defenders a lot of flexibility, and unfortunately, it's also going to be allowing Pengu a lot of flexibility. He has found 2 picks already on this entry, but he's going to finally find himself in the dirt. VDOT making a beautiful play and finding 2 more to add to his collection. Now on a triple kill, make
No
that a
way.
quad kill. He's in a 1v1. He has to find this. This could be the second ace of the match, but will he be able to? He's looking for him. He can't quite find him, and it's not
No.
going to happen. Quartz with the SMG-12 is going to finish it out, and NOOTERS are moving on to 3-0.
Quartz 2 says no thank you, unfortunately, for that Achieve side. They go down 0-3 on the defense of border, and albeit it is usually an attacker-favored map, but not to the point where you go 3-0 through 3 different sites. If they pick the same site twice, I generally understand, but this is not looking good for the Achieve half, who decide to go back to customs and inspections. Now, this time around, it should be played a little bit better. They're bringing the exact same composition we saw last time around, the Mute notably enough to deal with a lot of that hard breach, the Castle to deal with a lot of that soft roam around the map and denial of the flank coming through from the attackers, along with the area denial of those Shumika launchers and the Yokai for the plant that, along with the Shumika launchers, will deny a lot of space where the Achieve Esports side doesn't have to specifically play themselves, which is a massive call for themselves, but the Echo needs to not run out. I think that's the most important part.
Yeah, honestly, this definitely so far was the closest round for Achieve. In terms of Achieve actually finding a round at least. Um, I think, yeah, keeping the Echo on the board is going to be key. I think Tachanka as well did a lot of damage. I don't think there's anything they really need to change up here other than not dying, winning your firefights, building them correctly with your teammates, having trust for your teammates, right? And understanding how your opponents are going to react to the things that you do. Now, obviously, that does sound like a pretty tall order, but these people have been playing this game for a very, very long time, and they understand it on a very fundamental and intuitive level. And so, when you understand this game on that level, sometimes you gotta just sit back and play. Um, Obviously, don't throw yourself out the detention wall when you're Echo and you're in a 3v1, but play the game.
That's what some of these teams are here for, in all fairness. Like the NOOTERS, this is more of a scrim stack slash fragger stack slash they want to have fun. This is a fun league for them, and it's nice to see them fragging out. They have the advantage, though, of having a few CL players along with, Pengu. That usually helps your case, if I do say so myself. Stu's extending up here towards security. They have to hold this for as long as possible. There's already 50 seconds gone in the round. This is a massive start for them, but they have to continue to lock it down, and they cannot be pushed out earlier than is as late as possible. If they do, it's a lot of ground given over to this NOOTER side, who's deadly, but there's one. Can they convert? Here's Court swinging. There's a kill back the other way. That's a good even trade, and NOOTERS have dinked down Gingy to just 50 health. Overall, another strong start for the team that houses Pengu and is a squad of penguins.
It's a very strong start, and being able to take this top floor map control is very potent. We saw it be a very key position in denying the plant last time. Tachanka down here on the first floor was able to deny a few specific plant positions, but nothing that would have been
Oh.
very potent without forcing them into the clutches of the other players playing on the top floor. I mean, that top metal position with an angle down into supply closet, as well as, I mean, just being able to play through the floor. And I think having that is going to be a huge boon for NOOTERS as this round goes on. Shu, though, gonna say, hey, maybe I can be a detriment to the NOOTERS. Mr. B gonna trade it back, but not before Shu finds another. Now onto a triple kill at this point. Shu is having the time of his life.
Yeah, but needs to not get over aggressive here. I don't know how Pengu doesn't drop Shu in that situation. That's my massive question. But both Mr. B and Pengu, now just Pengu down at 50 HP. 1 versus 2 now as he does drop Shu through that wall, but still has to get this diffuser down. It's not going to happen. VDOT plays the hole in the wall perfectly, and Achieve finally get their first round on the board. As the kids say, better late than never.
Yeah, better late than never, indeed. And might I mention as well, this is decisively an attacker-sided map. I mean, honestly, 4-2 on your defending half is nothing to shake a stick at if you're defending here. I personally definitely would have chosen to go on to attack on this map, which perhaps was a little bit of a blunder on Achieve Esports side, but definitely doesn't look to be too bad in any case. Achieve is doing quite well at holding their own in this situation anyway. Despite the onslaught of Challenger League and Pro League players coming their way, I think 3-1 is, well, rather not a terrible scoreline in this situation. I mean, there's just too many factors at play here to say whether or not Achieve is doing poorly at this point. I think once they line up their discipline and manage to balance it with their aggression, they will continue to do very well throughout this match. But obviously, that can be easier said than done.
Everything's easier said than done, in all fairness. I mean, I could say that NOOTERS are going to win the map. Doesn't mean they've won the map already. Look, I just said it. They haven't done it. Bang.
It's
There's
true.
your point proven. Simple as that. Achieve Esports
Wow.
on the defensive side, I do think they have a little bit of an advantage now, though. They have one round, and the notion is your first steps are always the most difficult, that being as a toddler or into a map of border. Either way, it's about as impressive the other way around. They have gotten their first round. That's their first step. Now they can start to walk and then possibly run past Gingy, setting up a nice little Electro Claw below. That should hit all three. It does indeed. Look at that. Nice little trick for all of you in your ranked games. Please just don't use it against me because I'm going to take it out in 4 seconds.
Yeah, no, I understand that feeling. And I would like to mention what you said. First steps can be rather difficult. Getting into the building is really the key point of contention for any defender on this map. If you can at least make getting into the building a little bit more difficult for them, that can be pretty potent for you as a defender. Now, Achieve has opted not to do this in most of their strategies so far, rather setting up a little bit further back, but I think that just gives the attackers a little bit more flexibility in their micro positioning. And that can lead to some more gunfights going in the favor of the attackers, which, when you're playing against a team like this, is not what you need. Do I think Achieve is playing poorly? No. Do I think this is unviable? No. But it, it's still there is something to be said about the necessity of aggression in this situation.
Vida trying to remove the repel early on and needs to hold this position. Again, it's the exact same situation we saw last time around. Storm's trying to clear that spot through the wall, is unsuccessful thus far for obvious reasons. Number one, nobody's there, at least for the time being, at least not the position they're specifically looking. VDOT still in a good position, hits the
Oh,
first, hits that
wow.
second. What is that? VDOT pops them both in about as many shots, looking for the third, is not going to find it. Pengu will shut him down. But a 2-for-1 trade in the first 90 seconds of the round. Nooters are on the back foot for the first time in a long time, not including last round.
What a shot. That was unbelievable. And honestly, the reaction time there is just incredible. That is a player who has trained themselves mechanically. Now, while Shu is going to go off the board to Trist, that does even things up. This is still looking pretty Achieve Esports favorite. I say that, but Jinji goes off to Pengu, and this suddenly gets a lot harder for the defenders. They have to find these key positions, which it looks like they're kind of spread out here. Trist also seems to be aware of the player on the chassis looking for a nade below, but doesn't seem like it's going to quite make the play that he was hoping for. And Neuter still has to find a way into the site. There are 30 seconds left on the board, and an execute is imminent, but with their awareness of the positions of these players, a swing could come out from the defenders, doing a little bit of damage from to Pangu. Oh my goodness! A wallbang coming out from Stu's World is going to even it up, and Pangu is off the board. Trist, though aware of the fountain player, is going to even things up, rather put it back into the advantage of the defender or attackers. But Stu's World is a very potent player, and he is going to clean that up. 1v2 there in that last situation. Beautiful round by both those players. Honestly, what a beautiful play. Stews, what a mad lad indeed.
For all of you poker players out there, that is a full house of frags. Stews and VDOT. Stews with 3, VDOT with the opening 2. An amazing round back. And again, it's Achieve taking some control that they probably shouldn't have had. A 2 versus 1 in that first situation really should not be won in any case. A good set of shots, though, puts you in a massive position. And, notably past that, Stews is kind of nuts. Easy as that. Nice little swing through the wall, and then the double swing onto both the Nook and the Finka around towards that metal detector position. Nooters are put down yet another round. They had a 3-0 lead that is cut down to just a singular round differential, and that could be evened out right here and right now. It's the final round of the half, and back to Bathroom and Tellers we go, arguably your favorite site, and understandably so. It's really good.
It is a very good site. I rather enjoy it. I will say Achieve was a little bit less than convincing, but well, they were a little bit less than convincing on either of the or any of the first 3 rounds on that first rotation. And they seem to have found the position for their discipline, achieved a little bit of flow state. I mean, you don't make plays like the 2 that we witnessed in the last round without really being at your maximum capacity, in all honesty. And I think that this could start going in the way of Achieve Esports, and that would be very impressive to see. Like I said, this is a decisively attacker side of map, and already Achieve have kind of put themselves into a good position on this. I mean, I think it's like 65%, so even a 3-2 is technically a good split. So already, or a 4-2 is technically a good split, so already Achieve is in a very good spot. And honestly, if they continue to do this well, they could de-seat the NOOTERS, a team which, by the way, lost only once during this whole season, and that was in qualifiers to Mystic Academy, who didn't even make the playoffs.
Mr. B picking things up where they left off back in round number 1. It's taken them a little while to bring things back, but a nice opening kill. Shu getting a little over-aggressive, lucky to stay alive in these situations, but will be just that. The Vector has a much higher fire rate, so those swings are a little bit easier. And you were talking about the differences between these two teams. NOOTERS have lost a single map in the entirety of this season, and they only lost a single time in qualifiers. But Achieve Esports in that same right are also 3-0. They, however, have lost 2 maps. Albeit, the round differentials are not that far off. It's plus 25 for the NOOTERS, and Achieve are plus 15. These teams are about as even as it gets between groups A and B, Achieve and NOOTERS respectively. I still have to favor the NOOTERS just for their background of the team. You have a couple CL players, and, well, obviously you have Pengu. But, well, on the other side, Shu exists, and Shu finds the evening out kill. 4 versus 4, and we're within 90 seconds now, so it's crunch time for the attackers. They've gained some good real estate, but they haven't gotten their man advantage as high as they would like it.
Mr. B has taken advantage of all this free real estate given to the attackers. I mean, look at this waiting area. An attack is imminent through here. And I will say, while this sort of 45 angle castle can be very potent because it allows you some more room to play over towards the custom side, it also can be kind of a curse. I think maybe some other way to apply pressure through there is necessary, but it is not present at this specific point in time. In any case, Volley of Trades comes out. We are now at a 3v3, 40 seconds left in the round. And, well, what is NOOTER's plan? There is a Goyo going off, and that's going to make it just that much more difficult. They're going to try and make a plant, but Pengu nearly goes down for it. Ooh, that was close, and frankly, I mean, is this plan even going to go down? No, Stu's World is going to deny it.
Now into the 2 versus 2, as it is brought back yet again. The trade potential continually there for this attacking side, and there's another one. Genji's dropped. It's into the 1 versus 2. Badger playing the far side next to the main stairs, has a good angle across, and should find that kill. Doesn't. The diffuser can go down. Is the swing going to come through? It's going down. Badger, what are you doing? Swing! No, it's behind that desk. He jumps out, and he jumped. Why? Why does Mr. B jump there? Badger with a 3K to close it out. A 1 versus 2 to win things in round number 6. Achieve Esports will bring us right back to even. An unnecessary jump from an otherwise safe Mr. B will give Achieve their 3rd. We head to half number 2 like we never left that operator ban phase.
3-3 evened up, but now NOOTERS have the disadvantageous the disadvantageous side. That's gonna be definitely a thing they're gonna have to deal with, right? NOOTERS, I think, wanted to start on an attack. And I think Pengu, all people would know that, but I also think that Pengu is gonna do a very good job of inspiring this flexibility, this how do I put this? This
Adaptability.
evenness in terms of your flexibility, defensiveness, aggression to passiveness, right? This balance, right? And I think NOOTERS have shown that. But I also think a lot of times NOOTERS show some pretty individualistic plays that Achieve are able to pick apart. And on defense, that could definitely be your downfall.
Well, you know what the first half was, Yali? It was, as a wise purple man once said, perfectly balanced, as all things should be. That even, as I mentioned before, through 6 rounds of play, one half is gone, another one's on the board, an OT if required. I think we get to OT here. I really do, because again, we were talking about Order being generally attacker favored, considering the new attacker repick and the adaptability and the flexibility that is provided to the attackers that they may not have otherwise had in prior seasons or prior iterations of the map. And now, comparatively, what is that? Is that for the same position? I don't think that reaches.
It does.
Maybe? There's an Electroclaw on the wall right now. They're going to try and clear that out on the attacking side, and unless they have some nades to throw in there, which they do, in all fairness to them, they won't. This is a possibility here for the Achieve side, but a little bit of a curveball, again being thrown by the NOOTERS, could help them out. I think that reaches, ever so slightly, but it reaches nonetheless. Trist, by the way, is playing Vigil. Here's a strat for you.
Yeah, Vigil playing over here on the east side, like I mentioned, bringing the battle to them right at the entry, I think can be very potent. And Trist is going to do just that. Now he does not have any potential for trade, so he's going to have to fall back pretty quickly. But an east side take could be very potent anyway. Cade though, ready to start rotating his utility, and that is exactly what the Neuters need. If Achieve was able to get that office wall open promptly, that could spell doom. That gives up way too much map control to the attackers on a map that is already so small. But he hasn't put it down yet. He's waiting and playing patiently. And with that pick, suddenly Newt Neuters had the advantage decisively. This Cade Claw, though, could do a lot of damage should it catch any of the Selma charges, but it's not going to. A decisive nade, going to clean that off, and now that wall is going to be open. And this whole, well, not the whole office area, but a good chunk of it relinquished now to the attackers. So a little bit of pressure, but will it be enough? Probably not, especially with Pangu falling downstairs.
Good exodus from Pengu, vacating the premises, and understandably so. Good ground taken by Achieve, but they don't have the man advantage, and that's going to hurt them in the long run. Court's just got timing. Welcome to Rainbow Six Siege. Still doesn't see whoever that is. It looks like Badger. Yeah, it is Badger on the other side. And Badger playing the 2x to their superiority is going to land some opening shots. Gingy in an awkward position behind main desk should be able to lock down Printer, but Storms, well, removes them, and that's how you lock them out of this one. Ground gain, a man advantage expanded on. Two men down on the Achieve attack, and they're really only pressuring this east side of the map. They continue to take damage as well. This is not good, and it continues to get worse. Achieve are falling apart.
Chief are falling apart, and frankly, I'm not seeing any plans
Ooh.
being built here. There is an undeniable amount of discipline on the side of Neuters, and they are playing this very well. And while we are in a 1v5 situation, it just, well, it doesn't seem very good. Let's be real. EDOT is going to find one, but looking for a second is going to be unsuccessful. Although running with his gun down, Mr. B nearly loses to a pistol. Not so, though. A very lean shot is going to end the life of VDOT and give the first defending round in favor of Neuters.
Ironically, running with your pistol up against a pistol is going to bring your submachine gun pistol in favor in that situation. Neuters win their first defending round compared to Achieve, who lost their first three. Neuters are giving us some deja vu where they won three in a row and now can do the exact same thing, but Achieve are, again, not out of this one by any means. Mr. B is going to pick up the Tachanka as they head to Bathroom and Tellers. This is a good call here for the Neuters. They decide to, rather than try and protect the entirety of the west side of the map with what we just saw, they rather favor the east and try and lock down both vertically and a little bit horizontally, possibly in towards that ventilation slash workshop side. This could be a good expansion from the defensive side that overall will massively assist with them. And, well, of course, you have the hard breach buff, or the soft breach buff for that DP27. I still think Achieve have a good shot in any of these rounds, almost as even as the Neuters, but with the comp that the Neuters squad is bringing, I'm going to favor them this time around.
I actually have to agree, but for a different reason. I have casted Achieve quite a bit over the past little while, and they consistently do this, like you mentioned, 3-3, 3-3, 3-3, back and forth. And it's because they are a very adaptable team. They have a very good understanding of the game. Once they play through a round, they know how to fix it. They know how another team might go about countering what you try to fix, and they plan for that as well. And so they have a tendency to lose 3 rounds in a row, or if they lose 3 rounds in a row, I should say, they get enough information out of it to win the following three. And I think that is, I don't want to say that's their goal. Their goal obviously is to win these rounds outright. But even if we see the first three going down, I don't necessarily see this being decisively neuter sided, just because they've shown that pattern very consistently over quite some time. Opening pick is going to go in their favor too, so well, maybe this round isn't even going to go in Neuter's favor, as I believe so far every single opening pick has led to a victory.
Christ
That
is
is
a little bit
accurate.
of a catalyst to that. Yeah. Yeah, let's see. One, yeah. Every single opening duel has led to a victory. Assuming you win the opening duel, you'll also win that round, according to our first 7 rounds of play, at least. Again, a small sample size comparatively to the rest of the season, but every statistic will hold true over a longer period of time. My AP Stats teacher does not let me forget that, by the way. Achieve Esports, though, have the man advantage and can now build off of this. They will play vertically and horizontally, pushing across. Storm's taking a decent bit of early damage. This is not a good indication for them. Simba does find one, actually, the down onto one. Actually, no. Wait, was that Where did Quartz get that kill? Hold the phone. Did I miss something?
I think you did miss something, and I totally missed it too, but the kill came out anyway, and Simba, aka Pengu, has actually lost his life instead.
I
Uh,
Okay. Apparently, Gingy just died in the void.
all
Welcome to
right.
Siege, I suppose.
Yeah, a black hole was summoned. But no, there is something very key to be mentioned about the fact that Pengu has lost his life. That is that the entire top floor has been relinquished to the attackers now. Chief Esports have plenty of soft reach as well to take advantage of that with both Buck and Sledge still on the board. They're really going to have good opportunities to find kills exactly like that one, shooting through the metal bars. A kill is going to come out, but Storms is going to trade it out. We are now in a 3v2, and while this conversion rate is very well, an even conversion goes in the favor of Achieve Esports here.
Storms can still bring this back, though, in a good position to deal with the push through, especially in this specific site. They're not as favored towards the bathroom side, which makes their life just a little bit more difficult. Stu's playing above cannot clear out that hatch because there's no hard breach left over. The ace being removed and no hard breach utility being brought by that Buck means, well, the hatch is as safe as things get. Shu looking to open things up towards the server side, and they're going to push straight through vents as well. This can be pushed on as an entire team. Stews will find the opener, but Quartz is still alive. In a 1 versus 3, does not find the opener, needs to find whoever's planning, but they don't plant the diffuser! Achieve Esports, what are you doing? Oh my goodness. This is why we can't have nice things.
What? That was free. Quartz does not win that. You know his position. You're in a 3v1. You start putting the plant down. Did they not have the diffuser? The person who didn't have the diffuser? I honestly don't know. I mean, I saw Sledge sprinting back in the other direction. I think. Oh, oh
I thought,
goodness. Okay, we've just been informed. They thought the site was workshop.
no way. No
Yes.
way. There, I refuse to believe.
Yep.
This is why you
That.
drone kids. There's, that's such a simple oversight. In the semifinals, no less. Like, if that's a week 1 kind of thing in a scrim stack, I understand. Like, that makes sense to a certain extent. But wow. Okay. That's my
Right.
deduction out of the round. That is a wow moment. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Wow. Gee willikers. I will say though, that was definitely a decisively Achieve Esports round. Upsetting it did not go in their direction. I would like to see this be a little bit closer, as close as it gets. I'd like to see this be a 4-4, but it's not. It's a 5-3, but Achieve has shown themselves plenty capable of winning that site, and so really it's going to be up to NOOTERS to make the adjustments during the next rotation. That being said, Achieve Esports still has another site before the next rotation comes around, and how they react to this site is going to be potent as well. And I will say too, uh, this is the site they thought they were attacking last time. So if they do this very potently in the exact same way, then maybe it will work out. But there is an opening pick in the favor of Achieve Esports once again. So yeah, this definitely could be an Achieve Esports round.
So after the blunder of last round from Achieve, the team that wins the opening duel now has an 87.5% win rate. It was going to be 100, assuming they
I don't
put the
want to hear
diffuser
about
down.
it.
Yeah. Now it's down 1 tick. 7 out of 8 for all of you mathematicians out there. Achieve Esports still have an advantage though, and they're pushing relatively well with good timing. Shu, looking to get aggressive up here, should use something from the K lifeline and will explode open one of those castle barricades. Triss still in a good spot to deal with this though, has the reinforcement to both sides of them around that 45-degree angle of a wall, but nades can still be thrown in if they do so choose. Shu doesn't have nades, so they won't. The only one with nades is V Dot, and Shu just took 75 damage to a teammate's breach charge. Okay.
Achieve. I've watched you for so long. You're better than this. And it they're 3-5 against NOOTERS, a bunch of Pro League and Challenger League players. Like, of course they're better than this. But they're certainly taking their time and
Ooh.
now losing a body to a very gorgeous shot by Pengu, and there
Good night.
goes another Nitro. Yeah, goodness gracious, it suddenly is looking like a NOOTERS round out of nowhere, and with only 50 seconds left on the board. Ouch. Achieve has lost their advantage in this moment of stalling, and I really hope that their mentals are not going, and if they are, they have the presence of mind at least to call a timeout, talk about what they need to do during the second rotation, and execute it. Because right now, Achieve looks to be floundering a little bit.
And they have no utility. They have relatively good weaponry between their three players, the LA to the G36 and the LMGE. Well, down goes that G36. The lone concussion remaining has been used, so there is a 0 bit of utility on the attacking side, minus this sledgehammer, and you just lost to a 5-7. Yeah, that's all I have to say. Storms is about to hit this shot. No, he won't. Okay, I thought he was going to just wallbang him through. He won't, but he will the second time around. Shu will fall, and NOOTERS go onto map point on their own map pick. They're looking pretty strong.
NOOTERS are looking pretty strong. Achieve now has to play perfectly if they want to win out this map, or even just force it to overtime. Are they capable of doing that? I think so. I mean, they proved they have some pretty solid attacking strategies. They understand they have the mechanical skill to find the opening pick, and make the entries, take the map control they need. Are NOOTERS going to adapt to what they saw Chief Esports do? More than likely. Um, I will say I gotta ask why Achieve didn't just do the same attack that they did for bathroom, because it seemed to work pretty well against workshop.
Well,
But
I mean, the difficult situation there is the defense has now adapted to what they had to change up. When you defend workshop, then you usually play around that ventilation position compared to when we saw them play in tellers and bathrooms. They vacated
true.
the entire position entirely. You don't want to play specifically in that spot. There's that same Electroclaw. I want to see if that works later on. I don't think Simba's used the second one. They haven't. So we'll come back to that one in just a little bit, assuming they actually put the reinforcement down. I'd assume they would, and I really hope they do. But regardless of my hopes, dreams, and aspirations, NOOTERS are looking to win this one 7-3 as quickly as possible, building some momentum heading into the more normality map of Chalet. There's that reinforcement, by the way. Is it electrified? Yes, it is. So there's that Electroclaw I was talking about back in round number 4. No, 7. Math is hard. Use that in your ranked games.
There you go. There's another one for the books. Another one for your little library of tips and tricks. And well, here's not a spawn peak, but used to be trying to gather a little bit of information, listening perhaps, and going to shoot through it at what he believes to be the opportune moment, but no one has spawned over there, so it's not going to be potent anyway. Now, Sue's World getting a little bit of intel, and, well, Achieve is going to be looking to find their way in through this east side of the building, and this is going to be potent. They are defending Armory, and this is the site that Achieve did worst on, and they just did not drone out Malusi. Where has the discipline gone, Achieve? This is frankly just not something that I find acceptable. It's missing. I don't know where it is. I know Achieve, they do better than this 9 times out of 10, but this just is not their day.
The due diligence has left the building, unfortunately enough. They have not been crossing their T's, dotting their I's, and droning their corners, or even checking them. I don't care if you drone your corners, as long as you check them. Nice opener for Mr. B, but it's immediately traded back. You're not going to win that long-range fight up against an AK-12 with a 2x on it, unless you are, well, absolutely insane with the SMG-11, and albeit Mr. B is 12-7, by the way, through our now 10 rounds of play, this being number 10. But you're not going to win the second engagement with that little bit of ammo left over. They don't, and we're right back to where we started. Notably, the plant denial on the smoke is gone, so the runout may cost them a little bit more than it costs the Achieve Esports side, but there goes that deployable shield. This is good time made by Achieve, but they don't have the real estate nor the man advantage to note for it. They are working with some good opening engagements, including now an extra kill as Simba falls, but they have to continue with it. Storms is concussed and left alone in this 1 versus 2 in the close side towards that fountain position. Do they clear this? That's the real question. Yes, Badger will clear it. Now it's Quartz in a 1 versus 3 to win it here on Border.
There is anyone who could do it. It could very well be Corpse. He's looking in the right direction, but Sophia is just going to dodge out of the way well enough, and now Quartz is stuck behind the archives wall, and it is not going to be a very comfortable position for him. He is going to lose his life as Sophia makes a very comfortable swing, and a round goes in favor of Achieve. Now we really should be seeing a what 5-5 here, or 4-5, 5-5.
6-4.
We should be seeing a 5-5 though. But we're not.
Yeah, yes, should be. Sorry, should be versus are two very different things. NOOTERS should not have won what we saw 2 rounds ago. They should not have picked up their 5th round. I will stick with that notion for obvious reasons. They did, and, well, now we're here. 6-4 in favor of the NOOTERS. But if statistics and trends tell us anything, Achieve will win the next 2 rounds. We're going to go to OT, and then it's just a toss-up from there. I think it's a possibility, a very, very big possibility, that Achieve win the next 2 rounds. Albeit, it's going to be a massive challenge, NOOTERS being a very strong defensive squad and good overall with their trends of adaptation. But, and I say but, Achieve can shut that down relatively quickly, especially with the attacker repick being a thing, and the NOOTERS really not changing too much up about their defensive side. Simba throwing yet another little clean bit of an Electro Claw that'll electrify all 3 walls once all 3 are put up. Again, 1 for the ranked books. I'm going to continue to say this because, well, we can all learn from some comp players.
Something I will say is that choosing to continue on with the rotation is honestly not something. Well, I guess it was a 1v3 down at the end, but continuing on with the rotation is not necessarily something I would recommend in that situation. You have more information. You lost one site. You can kind of go there again. Use the information that you got from it to adapt and counter strat that attack that you just witnessed, and then suddenly you're more than likely looking at an advantageous site, especially considering that's your primary site. That's where you're comfortable playing. That's where you know your angles like the back of your hand. But New Neuters did not opt to do that. They've instead moved to Bathroom Tellers' site in before the rework, completely and utterly unviable, and now one of the best sites on the map. And honestly, for good reason. Trist is getting aggressive.
And understandably so. You want to take some control on the defensive side, especially when you're playing some roaming ops. Now, notably, Achieve does have a little bit of a counter to this in terms of the HP advantage that was gained for a short period of time. VDOT will be healed up an extra 20 health over top of what they just had. Well, because Finkastims exists. The Adrenal Surge is awesome. You get an extra 20 HP. If you're above your full HP mark, whether that be 100, 110, or 125, each tick you'll drop 1 HP until you're back to that full HP mark. But if you're below your own full health position, you will stay in that same spot. VDOT actually doesn't get that angle. I'm a little surprised they don't. Extra swing, down to 1 HP. They need a Finkastim. They're not going to get it. Nice swing, nice kill. Quartz will get the opener, and NOOTERS do get the first kill here in our 11th round of play.
11 rounds. Now that is nothing to shake a stick at, and Pulse is in a very uncomfortable position, and well, in between, very uncomfortable indeed. I usually find bullets in my body to be uncomfortable, and I believe he does too. But now we're back into an even 4v4, but there is very little map control to be spoken of in the favor of Achieve. The site is Bathroom. They seem not to really have a plan in mind. They have a minute, and while it is a very small map, that is a lot of map control to take in. only a minute, especially when Nooters are going to be playing as aggressive as they have been, or in this case, as disciplined as they have been, as those two things can indeed coexist. Gingy, though, is along with the other Achieve members starting to look to build this sort of web form that could collapse on the site at any moment and hopefully start finding some picks. And there it is right off the bat. That's going to be the start of the entry, but a trade makes it even.
There's only 30 seconds left, and Storms has a good flank. It's been heard, though. Nice swing from Gingy. Achieve are on the man advantage. There is a flank around the backside, and they've downed Badger. Down goes the diffuser and the ace themselves. The shot's not being hit. Sometime hit it. The stim was a little bit early, though, and Badger will not be healed up because of it. Nade goes in. Does that land? It will. It'll force Mr. B away and actually force Mr. B straight into the gunfire. But there's a trade back. Pengu will fall, though. Achieve send us to the full extent possible, at least in regulation. 12 rounds at minimum required here on Border.
This is a very close game, and might I mention as well, this is going exactly how I predicted it to, although with a little bit of a hiccup by Achieve at a certain point. I think Achieve is really showing a very good showing, despite that, despite a couple little mishaps. Achieve is still doing quite well, and this is, I think, Achieve showing what they can do. They've brought themselves back. They've remembered what it feels like to play this game and to play it well, and now it seems that their communication is on a much higher level than it was before. Their timing is doing much better. They're able to build these plans, and that is really what's giving them an advantage over Nooters during these final rounds.
Round 12. I need a prediction. Are we going to OT or are we going to Chalet before OT is required? Super duper quickly.
This is Armory. My prediction is that we finish the map here for the exact reason that I stated before.
I understand. I think, however, that Achieve have some momentum. And momentum is a fickle mistress, as the boomers say, and understandably so. It's about as true of a statement as things get, assuming you know what the heck a fickle mistress is. Nooters have an advantage in terms of rounds, but they've lost 2 in a row, and both of them were very close, yet could have been picked up and Achieve a slight oversight or a lack of a slight oversight that one round, and they are now in the advantage. They are winning 6-5. That doesn't happen, so, well, here we are. They're on the back foot. Round 12 is indeed required, and the armory position has been cleared out quickly before by the Achieve side. They won this the last time we went here. If you'll recall, round number 10 was the one they picked up in this specific situation. And as long as they don't miss drone, I think they win this round. If they miss drone and they give over a free kill, maybe even 2, then Nooters win. But if they drone the way I think they will and the way they definitely should, I think Achieve picked this up.
I definitely not going to say that Achieve is incapable of winning this round. I mean, we've seen it time and time again. They are a very flexible team. They're adaptable, and they understand how to put themselves into good situations. However, this play here is definitely very interesting. Oh my goodness. With all those tracers going through the walls, it's very easy to shoot it where the tracers are coming from and find your pick, but not going to happen at this point. And VDOT making a very aggressive play. Is he going to find the opening? Yes, he is. That is huge, but he knows there's a player on the rotate as well. Going to put a little bit of lead down range, but not quite going to do enough. But VDOT, after reloading, will finish it off for his double kill, and now up 2 players on their match point round.
This is how they can win things, albeit there's still that Electroclaw down below. They put that below yet again. We saw that rotation earlier on in the prep phase when I was going on my rant about possibilities. Nooters should have that cleared out. There's no way that's going to be cleared. There's that RCXD being thrown in. That won't even explode the Electroclaw above the wall, much less the one that is unkillable below it. Pengu still in a good position, though. That actually does take it out, and Pengu didn't throw that previous Electroclaw. Did they clear that out earlier, or am I just a moron?
I am unaware. But more than likely, I'm guessing they cleared it out earlier. Achieve is, I believe, aware of the tricks on this map. They've done quite a good job of displaying their understanding of this map up to this point, and now in a 5v3, a lot of it is going to start coming to fruition. That nade, though, is not going to land. Very well banked, but Storm's on the flank, gonna find 1 before VDOT and Gingy find 2 in return. Suddenly, it is up to Pengu, who is not going to be able to do it. We are going to overtime, ladies and gentlemen.
Map 1 requires some extra siege, some free siege, if you will. Y'all get free siege no matter what. You don't have to pay to watch this, but you get some extra free siege, I suppose. Nooters will start on the defensive side, which is both a blessing and a curse for them. They couldn't play defense for the last six rounds, but they also, or for the last 3 rounds, but they also haven't played attack in the last 6. So again, see some things I've said as you will. That's up for interpretation. I do think Nooters have a way to bring this one back, and they have a way to balance out some of the momentum that Achieve have built up, but they have to do so right now. If they lose this, I don't see them winning an OT. I don't see a reverse sweep and a best of 3 in OT coming their way. If they don't pick up round number 1, they're going to lose.
Yeah, but do they have a good chance of picking up round number 1? Yes, I think they have a very solid understanding of how Pengu's team, the Nooters, is holding this. I mean, they've obviously put some emphasis on CCTV and this aggression, this unbridled yet highly coordinated aggression onto that position has proven to be very potent, especially in that last round. I think that's really what won it. That very aggressive entry coming out from VDOT was so important. And look at this, they're going to be doing approximately the same thing. And I have to question this. Does Achieve have this strategy figured out? Does Nooters not have anything in their back pocket? Should they be going to this site? Should they be going bathroom? I don't have the answers to these questions, but I will tell you one thing that does. Time has the answers to these questions. We will just have to wait and see. But a little bit
What?
of more utility on this, interesting, could make it a little bit more difficult for that entry to come out. There is an Osa and no Sledge.
I don't know why you bring the Osa and a Blackbeard. I feel like they're showing Pengu, hey, Blackbeard's still viable. For all of you unfamiliar, Pengu used to play Blackbeard for the first few seasons of Pro League, and, well, any league for that matter. They called it, well, he called it his crutch back when he couldn't aim. He learned to aim and switched off of Blackbeard, obviously enough, and then became a 2-time world champion. So, you know, seems like it worked. But Nooters back to the site they just lost. I don't know about this call, especially when they're playing almost the exact same composition and the exact same defense. Now, I don't know why Achieve switch up something that's working. VDOT onto the Osa and Stews onto the Blackbeard. Those are a couple of interesting calls, to say the very least. But maybe they're seeing something that we aren't. And of course, they've played this game for much longer than I think both of us have, or at least most of them have. And they are a little bit more analytical, at least when it comes down to the composition countering that's possible. There's a 1-for-1 trade, though, so seemingly nothing doing. Quartz and VDOT both fall. They're getting the diffuser down. They're not aware
Yeah.
of it.
Yep.
Nooters have no idea.
I wanted to interrupt you and say give it 30 seconds. There are too many players on Nooters out of sight. But yeah, right there. That's exactly it. That was the exact setup they were looking for. And they did not give an inch of intel to Nooters. And now suddenly they're going to have a very difficult situation. Mr. B's going to have to jump out. And he is going to find the Blackbeard. What a beautiful shot. Now ace off the board. There's only one player remaining, and it's Gingy. He has to fend off 4 players, and that's going to be a lot of swings coming out from him. And a lot of people he's going to have to fend off. All these different directions are going to be potent, and unfortunately, Pengu is going to finish it off. That round could have been a lot closer, but the aggression, the comeback by Nooters was on point. I mean, really, they just won their firefights, and Achieve didn't, and I have to kind of give it to that specific point.
There's no way that round actually happened. We're
It
living in a
did.
simulation. I refuse to believe.
I'm sorry.
I call cap. Sorry. Customs inspections and supply room is where we will head for Achieve's first defensive and only defensive round, notably enough. Echo being called in this time around, back with the Tachanka as well. I'm being a little bit reminiscent from rounds number 1 and 4. For all of you familiar, it's exactly the exact same comp that was brought those 2 times. It worked the second time around. The first one was a little lackluster, to say the very least. Nooters on the attacking side, though, they were able to shut this down once, and albeit only once, and that was because Mr. B had an ace clutch that they should not have been given, the Echo getting over-aggressive and the diffuser being put down in a situation it never should have been given the opportunity to do so. My stipulations aside, they're still in a decent spot. Achieve can lock this down, assuming they don't get over-aggressive.
I really have to agree with that assessment. I think that I think Achieve Esports has done very well with the site, and I don't think Newt Neuters have really cracked it, at least from what we've seen. Perhaps there's been a little bit of time for whatever, strategical mastermind on the team that Newt Neuters. I have no idea who that could be, but that was sarcasm. It's probably Pangu.
It's Pango. It's Pango.
It's Pangu. Um,
Yeah.
but no, there definitely has been a little bit of time. We have had 7 rounds. In fact, we have had 9 rounds since the last time we saw this site. And so that is plenty of time for Newt Neuters to think it over and say, okay, well, here's what we did wrong. Here's how we can adjust it. And hopefully achieve, hopefully achieve, though, are able to fend this off and we're able to see 15 rounds during this match.
I think this is an achieve round. Barring any
I think so.
overregression, they win this. I think, and I'm going to continue to say I think because we never really know in these situations. It is a toss up between a lot of different variables. You have whether somebody's droned out or not, whether they just hit an insane double kill like we've seen VDOT do time and time again, or whether Stews takes the worst gun of the game, again, arguably, and gets an opening kill onto Trist, who has one of the better kits in all of Rainbow Six Siege, that being the Gon 6 LMG and some nades, along with the Adrenal Stim. Unfortunate start for them. They're up a man early, though. That's a great start. Stews, however, is taken out just as quickly. That's how you bring this back. Good combination and good coordination on the Newt Neuter side is a catalyst to that. Storms is looking the wrong way, though, and will be shut down because of it. The Mark 14 comes out on top of that duel as Senpai will shut down Storms, or Shu will shut down Storms. Achieve, they're taking control.
They are taking control. I was going to say Newt Neuters has very good focus on what map control they need, but they overextended a little bit, I think. And ultimately, they kind of put themselves into a position where they could no longer find trades, and 2 players were lost because of it. Now, in this situation, Newt Neuters definitely still has a chance. Mr. B and Pangu are 2 very, very talented players, but they're also very far away from each other, and Achieve is showing excellent discipline. I mean, let's just have a look at where the Echo is even. If Echo remains on the board, right? That's going to be huge. Echo is, however, the only player near the site other than Tachanka, and he could start losing his life if he's not careful, as Neuters has an opportunity here to start turning things around if they get enough intel and are able to isolate the players on the side of Achieve Esports.
They've just gained some
Ooh,
information and a kill. VDOT's been dropped, and they know about the Echo, who's about to swing this and should die just about as quickly as they will peak. The info is there, the swing is not. Again, over-aggression not being there for Achieve. They're playing disciplined for, I think, the first time in a few rounds, and this is how they can push through. You can see Gingy still just waiting inside of vents. Does not want to get over aggressive. Pengu, however, has taken some site control and is looking to swing through. I think he's seen a set of feet. He has indeed. Does not win the fight, though. Shu's still alive. Gingy is not. Mr. B will get that kill. 2 versus 2. Diffuser going down. Now just a 1 versus 2, as it's Pengu left alone to either win this on border or send us to a 15th round. There's the swing. There's the kill. We're going to 15.
Round number 15 is imminent, and while this map isn't necessarily the most important map in the world, there are 2 afterwards, and not to mention this is only semifinals. Obviously, you can't go to finals unless you win semifinals, and you can't you can't win semifinals unless you win 2 maps. So whoever wins this will have a huge boom moving into the next map. And realistically, I mean, what are you thinking? What are you thinking? We're going to workshop. We have a pulse. That
I mean, all
and a
10
vigil.
players have a pulse right now.
I would rather you no longer talk. That was a very bad
Terrible
joke.
jokes.
But
That
my
was
point is,
awful, awful puns.
there's a pulse and there's a vigil. If this gets spotted out, Achieve could opt to bring an IQ, and it could be very, very potent. Obviously, there's a lot of destructibility on this map. Less than there was before, but still enough to warrant some creative play on the side of Achieve Esports that potentially Newt Neuters wouldn't be expecting. Not in the same fashion that they weren't expecting the last overtime round that we saw them defending, because that did not work out in the favor of Achieve Esports, but rather some ability to build a strategy on the fly and create a disciplined environment that allows for players to be isolated and removed from the game one by one.
Newt Neuters should not play this round like they played the round 2 prior. Their defensive side is not as good on the bottom floor as we saw on ventilation, or as we saw in armory and office. I think, and again, I'm going back to the words I think, because we don't know how Nooters want to play. Trist could get over aggressive, or they could just sit in a corner and wait for a flank. Those are two possibilities that could go either way. This time, they're sitting next to what is a peak hole, and Jinji's on 1 health. Look in their general direction, and Jinji will fall. Luckily, there is a Finka, so Jinji's going to go back up to 21 health rather than just 1. But still one shot to just about any weapon in the game until an extra Finka stim becomes available.
Now, due to the fact that this player is Vigil, they're not going to be spotted out until they start shooting, and then they're going to be forced to fall back, but still playing very aggressive. Like I mentioned, bringing the battle to the attackers as they attempt to make an entry, and he's got his gun down, but he is still going to find Vigil. That is an opening pick towards Achieve. That is going to be huge. Achieve has shown that they are very good at making these conversions, and honestly, Nooters has dropped more conversions than Achieve has over the last 6, 7, 8 rounds. So that is huge for Achieve Esports because they generally have been playing more consistently than Nooters.
This says, y'all lucky I suck. Yeah, that was an amazing opening duel and an unfortunate finish to their border map. This is overtime match point. It's not win by 2. We don't have unlimited OT. We have a 15th round. This is the end-all be-all for this one. Mr. B takes a decent bit of damage to open things up, and Storms is the first to fall past Trist. Achieve with a 2-man advantage. Mr. B down to 50 health, and still a Finka stim remaining to boost up VDOT and Jinji. They're in a great position with all the real estate they've gained, and no C4 on courts unless they've already placed it down prior. They have so much control, and now even more. They have information, control, a man advantage, and real estate in their favor. This is collapsing, to say the very least.
I will say, though, once again, we see Mr. B and Pengu, the last 2 remaining members, and they were nearly able to do it last time they found themselves in this situation. Now they are biding their time. They want to force Achieve to make the first move and hopefully make a good prediction on it. But will that be potent enough? They really need to start finding picks. They need to even this up, and they need to prevent this plant, but that's not going to happen. With a swing by Mr. B, he is going to lose his life, leaving it all up to Pengu, who will find one, but not looking the right way. Falls to Shu, and that is going to be our first map, a Nooters pick, going in the favor of Achieve Esports.
Achieve played from the back foot the entire map. 3-0 and then 3-3, 6-3 and then 6-6, and then we saw Nooters make it 7-6, yet Achieve, well, they take an 8-7 victory. Regardless, they'll walk away with their opponent's map pick and a lot of momentum in their favor. To close out the map, they won 5 of 6. For all of you mathematicians, that's a wow factor, to say the very least.
Yeah, no, wow factor indeed. And I just want to say as well, Nooters, they played well. They certainly did, but Achieve just played better. What beautiful teamwork coming out from Achieve, in all honesty. Now, I will say, we are ready for a break, so we're going to go ahead and take that really fast. Don't go anywhere, though, because this series may not even be half over. Stick around.
I just wanna get to know ya. I wanna go far to the coast, yeah. I wanna dive fast to the ocean. I wanna know all of you. Growing up like a ghost, yeah. I wanna have kids of my own, yeah. And live a life till it's over. But until we do, it's sleeping too long. So no, it's sleeping so no. look at people and I wonder all day, who are you and you are not the one in your way. And then I think about myself and I stayed. I'm a pretty boss, look on my shit bright ways. I'm a freak in the sheets, but I got class. I'ma grab an ass if you want it. Best you ever had, give it to you bad. Ooh. I'm the girl that they don't talk about, quiet with a big mouth. Listen for the doubt, then call it. Make you out for what you say to me. Look at every single date. If you got what I need, then oh, I'll take you on like a big deal. Eggs you can unseal, key in ignition. Just keep me full like I had a meal once in a while. Feel alright. I know you like it, can't fight it. I'ma let you ride the wave. I'm New York and you're LA. Come together, feel the shock waves.
I'm walking alone, the streets are empty. The only thing I can see is my own silhouette. I'm getting stronger, step by step. The clock is ticking, but there's no time for regrets. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe, trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Yeah. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight.
Hello and welcome back to Canadian Contenders League. We're back with NOOTERS versus Achieve after a long and grueling first map that took us to Border. Once again, I am joined by Dan, aka Time to Light. Dan, what is your favorite color?
Red. Easy.
Good.
Red. Purple's a good secondary, but red's a good start. And unfortunately for me, I don't get either of those colors as we head to the relatively white map of Chalet.
True. And I am looking forward to Chalet just as much as Border, just because this is a map that, traditionally speaking, has been very attacker sided as well. And honestly, we saw how that attacker sided mixed things up in terms of gameplay. The defenders had to respond a lot more. They had to become a lot more adaptable just in terms of their overall defensive strategies in order to counteract that. We saw Achieve lose the first 3 rounds on defense and then win the following 3 rounds.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
a carbon copy into the second half as well. They lost the first three and then won the next three. They also lost the first round of overtime, yet reverse swept and brought it back to an 8-7 victory. They took Border, and it was by no means easy, but it was a win nonetheless. And whether you win 7-0 or 8-7, a W is indeed a W. A little bit of different bans. I'm a little surprised we're still not seeing Flores banned, but a Jackal ban to remove the possibility of a late flank from Achieve coming through from the Neuters side is completely understandable.
Now with Jackal off the board, that might just make Nomad and or Zero a little bit more potent. Specifically to prevent any sort of a late flank, as you mentioned. And honestly, I could see Zero becoming very potent as well. I mean, Zero is just a very flexible operator, but now we have as well Valkyrie and Mira off the board. As you mentioned before, the two most common bans here in CCL, and not very surprising either. Both very potent, especially on this map. Mira can be an absolute nightmare to deal with as she helps defend the basement.
Speaking of the basement, that's where we're heading. Achieve Esports decide to go to the bottom floor site first, and a quick opinion from you, if you please. What is your favorite site and your least favorite site to both play and to attack?
And that is a difficult question. I see a lot of the sites on this map very evenly. None of them in particular, I think, are very leaning in either direction. Um, Very attacker or defender sided, I should say. As if we look at the numbers, I think statistically speaking, these are generally attacker sided sites. But I really like attacking dining. There's just something about the fact that the key position is trophy. Trophy is it has a lot of vertical play in both directions, being one of the few places on this map that has that, as well as just the fact that it is difficult to get into as an attacker. It takes a lot of creativity to find yourself in trophy or just very talented entry.
Makes sense. I prefer to defend if I'm picking anything bar gaming because it allows me to extend into library and notably bring a Frost because Frost is always fun, usually catching some teams out. In this situation, I understand why Achieve want to go to the bottom floor. They want to make sure they're not as collapsible comparatively. We saw that a little bit over on Border, where they had some weaknesses when whatever was above the site was easily soft breachable. Now, these situations, not everything is, but a decent bit of the site is. They can, however, pick some decent positions to just hide out in. There is, as I mentioned, an overextension to the top floor, and that comes through early, a good swing, but no kill early on. There's a Pokeball. It's just not going to land. Shu will actually die, even doing 75 to 85 damage onto Storms. Won't find the kill, and Storms is healed right back up by the Adrenal Surge. Again, good openers from NOOTERS, and again, they're opening a half off good, but we've seen that before, and we've also seen them lose off of it. Nice snipe, by the way, Trist. Doming that Nitro out of midair.
Yeah, beautiful shot. And that honestly could be a very potent moment there. There is a lot of control on the top floor that has been seceded to the attackers. But as I say that, Nitro coming out is going to kill the Thermite. Thankfully, he did manage to get his exothermic charge off. That's going to apply a lot of pressure to the snowmobile garage part of the site. The question is, what are the other attackers going to do as they move around to the backside, hoping to apply a little bit of pinch pressure here? They might be able to catch some of the defenders off guard, or in the very least force them to split up their ideas and their weapons.
Weaponry is always a very pivotal part of this. While it's very a tactical first-person shooter, notably it's a first-person shooter, and the weaponry always plays a very pivotal part in that. Achieve, in these situations, have both a weaponry advantage and map control, along with the fact that two of their players are not below that 50 HP margin. They're in a good spot, but again, Nooters can collapse this easily. They have top floor control and they have the adrenal stims to heal them up just a little bit each and every time, albeit there's only one adrenal stim left if I've done my mathematics properly. Trist is down to just a single one. Storms can nade this out, but with only 40 seconds on the clock, Nooters have to play much quicker, and with only one stim left and little utility remaining, they have to be very concise with their push or they're just going to run out of time.
Speaking of running out of time, it looks like that's not going to be a problem as they start finding a bunch of kills. Badger, after that volley of trades, is the last remaining member, but not for very long. Beautiful execute by Nooters as they apply pressure from every direction and force all of the defenders out of their comfy little positions and into the bullet trails that end in their lives.
Nooters, very quick. I was talking about playing like a concise squad. They also were working with the flank watch as well. They basically did exactly what I said they needed to as I said it. Again, a very good start to a map, but we've seen this before. I don't want to get overzealous with me commending the Penguins squad because, well, they went 3-0 and then lost the following 3 rounds just last map. I'm getting some deja vu, albeit not yet because Achieve hasn't won anything, nor has Nooters gotten up to 3 rounds, but it's still a possibility you have to keep in the back of their mind. Nonetheless, Nooters still with a good start, and they head to Bar Gaming as round number 2. This is personally my favorite side of the map.
Yeah, no, I love defending this map, I will say. There is a lot of opportunity for different kinds of utility play on this particular defensive site. That being said, there are some pretty easy ways around it, as we see already on the attacker repick. There is a Flores being brought in. Flores can be very, very powerful during an attack onto this site. There's going to be a lot of utility. There's going to be a lot of shields set up, protecting Mez, and more particularly, there's this little spot here next to Piano Door that is going to be a key position for the attackers to penetrate their way into. But there's going to be a lot of utility in the way, and Flores is going to hopefully be able to make quick work of that.
I was talking about the Flores ban not being there, and I'm still surprised about it. I really thought we were going to see a Flores ban. I would have thought Achieve would have banned out the Flores compared to Nooters. I thought Nooters were then going to ban Thatcher, but that didn't happen. It went Thatcher and then Jackal in that order between Achieve and Nooters, respectively. Sometimes that's just how the cookie crumbles. Gingy is going to play on this top floor. I was talking about the Frost earlier. This is the Frost being played. In goes that drone from Mr. B. There is no Frost map below that main double window. They could still swing this, though, and a nade could be used to open things up relatively quickly. Gingy is not safe by any means, but is still in a decent position to waste time. And I think that's the biggest part for the Nooters. They need a little bit more time on the clock because last round was spotty, to say the very least.
Yeah, and time was really an issue for them last time. Isn't it time? Anyway, Gingy on the drop is going to lose his life as there is a very aggressive play from Ace, but Ace is going to find his way back out anyway. And oh my goodness, Pengu's timing here is just incredible. He finds 2 on that exact same swing, and another goes down to Quartz. Now it's up to only 2 players on the side of Achieve.
No way.
Make that one as Pengu finds another, but isn't able to find VDOT, the lone member of Achieve, now in a 1v4 tough situation and nearly impossible, as is proven by the sheer number of people collapsing on his position.
Even with a flashbang, that's just insult to injury, to say the very least. Nooters, again, a very strong collapse on the site, and Pengu's kind of nuts. Somehow hits the wallbang, by the way, through that gaming and bar wall. But I digress. Sometimes luck just happens to go in your favor, and that's calculated luck, plus a little bit of smart aggression. Nooters with 2 in a row now. Achieve are looking lackluster, especially on bar gaming. That is a site that you have to be winning, or at least putting up a good fight on, to indicate something else throughout the rest of that map, this map specifically. Now they head to Kitchen Dining, their 3rd site in 3 rounds. They haven't won the first 2. I see no reason why that would change now, other than maybe a little bit of a comp change.
Yeah, I And honestly, I kind of have to agree, but once again, for a very different reason. We saw them lose every map in their rotation, both on attack and defense, and then also win every map in the rotation. I don't know how Achieve does it, but they do. It's a very consistent pattern with them. And I think seeing them lose a few maps or a few sites very quickly isn't really that big of a concern to me. I've seen these guys for long enough to know that they're going to adapt and they're going to adapt well. And honestly, they're going to adapt beyond just changing their strategy. They're going to adapt their positioning, they're going to adapt their play style, and those, in a lot of ways, are way more important than just the way you set up your sites.
I always think that setting up your site's probably the more important thing about the defensive side, though. If you have a good setup, you can have well-placed pre-fires and crossfires, and really deny Nooters a lot of this real estate control on the top floor that they gained so quickly last time around. If you had an extra player on the top floor, maybe the Frost is able to stay up there for an extra 30, maybe 40 seconds, and continue to tick time off the clock. That time it doesn't happen, and obviously Nooters take a lot of control, more specifically Pengu, who has 5 kills through 2 rounds. Notably, by the way, for all of you who are just joining us, Pengu is TTK Simba 302 1785. I don't know why they're playing with that, but yeah, there's your bit of info for the day.
Yeah, Pangu has been very consistently changing his name up and giving us a little bit of a run for our money. But in any case, we are here and there is pressure being applied to the top floor. Now, this is going to be very important. Kitchen dining is a very vertical site. I couldn't tell you exactly how vertical it is like I can on Villa, but it is definitely still very vertical. And well, with just a tiny bit of vertical control, they're able to get this wall open. I mean, all they did was open up the wall in Office, and they were able to do what they needed to with that. And now suddenly, all of Achieve Esports, who's playing on the top floor, is shoved all the way back towards Master side. At this point, all it's going to come down to is these long-range firefights that generally tend to favor attackers who, well, they just have longer
Ooh.
sights. And I mean, speak of the devil, it's shots like that that prove that these longer sights are just better. They're more accurate, and mechanically speaking, they actually, fun fact, allow you to see literally more. They let you see around corners.
Nooters continue to force Achieve to condense, and Mr. B is getting this diffuser down already. With that Finkastim, it would have hurt, assuming Mr. B was chilling inside of that toxic bay, but they're not, and it won't. Mr. B should be able to make it out of this position. Badger's pushing below, is aware of the possibility, but will not find the frag anyway. Mr. B shutting that one down. 2 kills out of 2 gained for this Nooter side, and you have to see a quick comeback from a Achieve Esports side. It just does not look like it's going to happen. VDOT in a 1 versus 4 is just not going to have a chance. Nooters, 3 in a row.
3 in a row, 2 by elimination, 1 by plant. And might have mentioned that was kind of a fun plant sneaking up there like a sneaky snake, if you will.
A sneaky snake.
Sneaky snake, not just the normal variety of snake, but a sneaky one. And he managed to get himself into a prime position to put the plant down and then fall back through the hatch. Honestly, not something that you see every day, but well done in any case. I mean, you have to give credit where credit is due. Now we move on to the second rotation, and this is where Achieve starts to show us if I'm right or if you're right. I mean, there's no other way around it. I think we're mortal enemies, and no, but yeah, I mean, Achieve. Obviously, we've talked about it a lot. It's their adaptability, their ability to read into what Nooters is doing is proven to be honestly just unparalleled. Like, I don't know how to describe it, but it's something that I have never seen another team accomplish, especially to the degree that Achieved has managed to do it.
Achieve, with their current position, I do think can bring things back. Now, the real question for everybody is, will they? They have all the possibilities in the world. They have the good control on the defensive side. They have a good setup with what they want to run, but sometimes they just don't have the execution. Last round being one of them, we saw shots being landed from Mr. B, the opening 2 going his way specifically, 1 before and 1 after that plant. And Nooters are making good time with their map control, forcing Achieve to condense themselves on both their roam and on the site proper, where past that, they can't do anything. They can't overextend into deny that plant when they don't have any map control to justify it. And when you overextend, when you don't have map control, you lose rounds more decisively than they already have. And notably, they've lost 3 in a row. They can't afford to continually be shut down in every single position. That's what's happened thus far. And again, actually, oh, there you go. There's a little bit of a Cade trick we saw. Gingy making good time with that one. Good job.
Yeah, that is honestly that's going to be very important for as the round continues on. I mean, and that's just another one of these little adaptations that we see Achieve making, right? Keeping a Cade in your pocket, not putting it on the back. You know they're going to go for this front style play, and Nooters being a team led by a more traditional, world champion. I think they tend to play in a very pro league style where they set up a thing and they say this is the most potent way that we can play, and then it allows Achieve to kind of read into that almost like their kryptonite. They're able to build an understanding of the way that Nooters likes to play off of one round and really dig into it during the next and cause a lot of chaos on the side of Nooters. Speaking of chaos, Trist has already lost his life. That's an opening for Achieve, first one that we've seen, and honestly a lot of very potent discipline coming out from Achieve as well. This is definitely looking to be a much cleaner round in their favor.
They're in a better position than they have been in the 3 previous rounds combined. Like you said, they're first of the opening frags. Nice C4, shot at a midair again. Quartz is nuts with that. I just want to highlight that super duper quickly. Quartz continually swinging, though, is not hitting the shots. And this is, again, time off the clock that the Nooters cannot afford. Simba's making good time on the other side, trying to open up that basement main wall. Nice nade does come in. Badger dies to that. That was not a cooked nade. You should not be dying to those, and that could cost you a round, especially with Mr. B on the other side, forcing Gingy to look both ways. Now Achieve Esports are being pincered. It's the old pincer maneuver, but Stews hasn't been cleared. Down goes the diffuser. Down goes Storms. They're still in a 3 versus 2 as the refrag is there, but Achieve, they're back in this.
Achieve back in it indeed, and with another kill, suddenly the defuse has been completely denied. There are 2 players and they are very far away, but VDOT is in a prime position to make sure that the diffuser doesn't get picked up. Mr. B on his way to try and apply a little bit more pressure, and Court seems to be aware of his position, but no, not aware enough. I don't think they're even looking at the hatch. They are!
Oh!
And VDOT swings with his gun down, and that is going to cost him his life, and the round 4-0 in favor of Nooters.
First time in this map, the opening frag does not turn into a round win, and, well, the catalyst to that is Achieve, well, just not converting. Unfortunate situation to close things out. It was well played, in all fairness, to him. Courts looking at the hatch. They were aware of the possibility that VDOT was up there, sound cues being what they are, even radiate through floors, and Nooters now in an amazing position with 4 in a row, collapsing on Achieve, who go back to kitchen and dining, where, if you'll recall, had no business even being on the site, much less looking like a team playing the map. It looked like Nooters were playing a 5 versus 0 last time we went here.
Yeah, I couldn't disagree, in all honesty. I really want to disagree, but unfortunately Achieve, I think, is just not applying enough pressure from the top floor to the bottom floor. Realistically speaking, if you aren't applying pressure from a position, there's no reason for the Nooters to move you out of that position. There just isn't, and they're not going to. They're a very disciplined team who understands what map control they need. They don't move beyond that, and that is, I mean, that is definitely a very, very good skill for them to maintain, and that they have proven to maintain, especially when attacking the site. You really don't need much more than office control, and after you have office control, you can kind of just make and execute, unless Achieve is ready to make a very aggressive play to deny it. And so far, Achieve hasn't, well, it seems like they've been aggressive in all the wrong moments.
Over-aggression being shut down yet again by this Nooters side. That time around, Achieve got outplayed. I don't think it was anything that they could have done specifically past what they already did. It was just a very sound round over. Oh my goodness, look at the coordination. Trist just shutting down Stews. The opener again going the way of Nooters. That's 4 of 5 thus far this map. The Gon 6 and the LMG combination, that's just mean. And then Shoes just unaware of Pengu's possibility position. That's just a feels bad man moment.
Yeah, no,
Oh no.
this is an
Oh
enormous
no.
slaughter by Nooters, and LMGs are still not nerfed. Yeah, entry from Triss, now on his third kill, moving on to his fourth, leaves VDOT alone in a very lonely. Sorry, that was bad. But VDOT, though, looking to looking to start bringing this back. He finds one kill, but taking a lot of damage and unaware that he's
No way.
what? He got on
You
he got on his
He
phone.
went on cabs. He went on cabs. Somebody fat fingered 5. He got flashed and then pressed 5. Not the combination of Fs that you want, but an F in chat for them is what I think we deserve. Nooters. 5 in a row, if we're sticking with that trend. Are they going to have a 6-0 split on the attack of Chalet?
Yeah, I think they're going to. I'm not gonna lie. I think Achieve in the very least has to be laughing about that. I don't think there's a single moment. You're in a 1v4, no one's expecting you to win. You accidentally pull out your phone. I honestly I just think that's kind of funny. I don't think anyone in this situation is gonna say, "Oh, I can't believe you pulled out your phone, Stews. You nugget." Right? But but I will say Neuters have been really taking the aggression to Achieve Esports. This goes back to the flexibility that we've talked about over and over again. Achieve is not taking the flexibility out of the hands of the attackers at all. They're just not. And unfortunately, that is leading them into these situations where they are getting completely just driven out of their comfy positions and into places where they can't really take firefights. And yeah, there are no trades, there's no pressure coming out. And Achieve just does not look super confident on their chalet defenses.
Well, do you know that Pengu, with his newfound flexibility, is looking for a third career change from Pro League player to Pro League caster, and then Pro League caster to gymnast? That's the new vibe going around Liquipedia, from what I've heard. /S for all of you people who don't pick that one up as sarcasm. That's not true whatsoever. Pengu's still cracked at both playing the game and in a lot of situations casting the game as well. He casts NAL for all of you unfamiliar. Back to Bar Gaming, though, for Achieve Esports. This is their second iteration of Bar Gaming. The first one was unsuccessful, to say the very least, but it was a catalyst to being forced out of library early, and we just saw that already. They're forced out of library in 35 seconds. This is not a great start by any means. Trist is on the Nook. We saw that switch over early on. I'm concerned, to say the very least. I am concerned for this weak defensive side we've seen already.
I am not gonna lie, I don't think being forced out of library in under 30 seconds is that big of an issue. In fact, I think that's what led to the aggressive swing by Pengu in the last round, who, in this situation, has lost his life due to an over-aggressive swing. It was traded out. VDOT has lost his life too, but there are still 4 defenders on the board, and while Nooters has taken top floor control,
Ooh.
they have no hard breach. Oh, sprinting right into the F2. That is not a situation you want to be in. In any case, these players on Achieve are still in very powerful positions. Oh, never mind. There are 2 in the basement. So looks like they're looking for that super aggressive play I was mentioning before, trying to reposition themselves to build these crossfires and hopefully find trades that they need to and prevent another
Oh
neuter-sided
no!
round. Oh,
That just doesn't look like it's going to be the case. Gingy
no.
inside of the bar. 1 versus 4. Again, a 1vx situation for Achieve. This is looking like a 6-0 split. There's an opener, though, looking for a second. There's the swing. The LMG's just better. Storms will hit the headshots, and Nooters will go up 6-0 after losing their own map pick of Border in 15 rounds. They have had a flawless attack as an opening to Chalet.
Flawless attack on Chalet. That's not something that I've always wanted to hear, but it does feel pretty nice. My eardrums are thoroughly satisfied as we move on to the split. Now, kitchen dining going to be the favored site of Nooters, and they're getting ready to hold this in a, well, vaguely a familiar way. Court's bringing once again the Doc alibi as well, being brought by Storms and Castle as well. I mean, these are all operators that we saw run over and over again on Border, and seems like they understand the value of just making sure your players are comfortable and consistent.
Did we see a doc? Did I miss something? I don't, I don't remember seeing a dock. I remember seeing an alibi and a castle. Those are understandable. And then Mr. B playing on the Cade along with Trist on the Jaeger are givens, especially on Chalet. But I think Doc is the newest addition to the arsenal of Nooters. Ironically, they're not playing Arsenal. That was back on Border a few times. But into Chalet, they can close things out right here. They have 6 straight match points. They have 5 mulligans. There's a lot of leeway for them.
There is certainly a lot of leeway. I mean, you can't be more comfortable in a situation than being 6-0 at a certain point in the match, right? At that split. And achieve, well, you can't really be more uncomfortable in a situation. You know, there's a lot of pressure for you to move forward and win every single round. But the key here for them is going to be to sit back, maintain their mentals, and just understand, well, we only need to win one round at a time. So let's just play one round at a time. Achieve, I think, so far has demonstrated that they are pretty good at that. They can kind of dial in their mentals when they need to. They're comfortable with not playing well at certain points in time and able to bring it back when they feel that it's necessary. So honestly, I am not, well, I am concerned for Achieve. I mean, 6-0 is still very uncomfortable, but in the very least, I know they're not, getting upset and turning their monitors into bracelets. This is a very disciplined and mature team.
Oh, that was a good punching the monitor reference. That's a good one. I haven't heard that one before. Nooters certainly aren't punching their monitors. No Summit 1Gs around here, nor are they walking into their own fire, which I think is a good thing as well. One of the reasons they're probably up by 6 rounds. One notable thing is this is only the second time that Achieve Esports has gotten the opening kill. The first time they got shut down by a round that should not have been won by the Nooters, albeit it was a very, very well played round from them. Just Achieve probably gave the other team, the Nooters, of course, a little bit too much leeway. Into this time, they're on the attacking side, which is very good for them. Jinji's going to throw up that nade. That should take out the Electro Claw. It doesn't. It was actually taken out by an ADS, and a smoke thrown over. That denies the ADS, and the nade doesn't land. The Electro Claw is still alive, and this now needs to be dealt with from above. There's only 75 seconds left, and Achieve are running out of time, even with this man advantage.
Achieve going to be looking for everything that they can do here, however, as they really don't, in the very least, they don't want to go down 7-0. And honestly, who does? And on top of that, they have the man advantage. Now, this could be a very potent moment for them to just sit down and understand that we can make an aggressive play. Now, I will say, they managed to actually find that Cade Claw a little bit out of luck, but that is going to allow them to open the wall. And while there is a trade, suddenly this is still looking better for Achieve. They no longer have the man advantage, but they now have the control advantage, and they're able to start applying pressure directly to the site, and that's going to allow them to hopefully start playing for an execute instead of just playing for hope, prayer, and perhaps a couple of kills.
30 seconds left, though. They're not making good time. No man advantage, and now no time on the clock. 4 versus 4 as they're starting to prep some utility to be thrown in. Smoke over towards that main door, but Stews will only get 1. It's immediately traded back as Pengu will finish off his kill. You can see trades. Zipper up that kill feed. 1 for 1, and then 1 for 1 again. This diffuser has to go down, though. Have they cleared out the top floor? They have indeed. Mr. B is still there, though. There's another kill. Looking for that diffuser. They will find it indeed. We're going to Clubhouse. Map 3 is required for our second semifinal of the night.
I love Clubhouse. I will say, I've already casted it once today, but I'm looking forward to casting another, and I'm looking forward to seeing how the operator bans affect it. I will say, the operator bans on this didn't seem that important. I mean, Flores used a couple times, but realistically speaking, NOOTERS just kind of proved that they were very, very talented on the sticks. They knew what to do, and they proved it. They brought it. They won 7-0 on a Chiefs map pick. That was the polar opposite of the last game that we saw.
Last game we were talking about, through so many rounds, opening kills were the catalyst to winning rounds. This time around, it made no difference. NOOTERS went 5 of 7 with opening kills. They won all 7 rounds regardless of how well they did in the first 20 seconds. And I think that's essence of them having comeback potential, even with man disadvantages and real estate lacking positions. They didn't have a lot of control earlier on in that round because of how quick the push was from the attack, yet they took it back later on. Mr. B to close things out. Who better? Opening things up with an ace. Last map, closing things out with a 3K. This time around, clean to finish things off.
Very clean indeed. Now, we are going to be going ahead and taking another small break. I'm sorry that map wasn't quite as long as the first one, but this is still free entertainment for you. And, well, glad you're appreciating it with us. In any case, small break. We will be right back.
I think the girls with their nails done now. Girls with their nails done. I think the girls with their nails done. Girls with their nails done.
Was never easy growing up. About time I read a book to distract myself from this reality. Oh, it's been a couple years, I feel the same. Guess I'll never really learn this fucking game, but I'm here to play it now. I don't wanna cry again, even if I lose a friend. You say you had good intent when you hurt me. You do it all again, that's so loose to me. I don't wanna try anymore. Yeah, I won't show up at your door in the morning. Said that it wasn't planned when you hurt me. You do it all again, that's so loose to me. You do it all again, that's so loose to me. Oh no. I don't wanna cry again, even if I lose a friend. You say you had good intent when you hurt me. You do it all again, that's so loose to me. I don't wanna try anymore. Yeah, I won't show up at your door in the morning. Said that it wasn't planned when you hurt me. You do it all again, that's so loose to me. I wanna go back in time to when things were easier, before it got all complicated. Oh, just give me the strength to move on, cause I don't really wanna move on. I gotta do what's best for me. I don't wanna cry again, even if I lose a friend. You say you had good intent.
Welcome back to the Canadian Contenders League. We just witnessed Achieve Esports fall to the hands of NOOTERS 7-0 on Chalet, right after taking them 8-7 on Border. Joining me on this adventure that we've been witnessing is Time to Light. Time to Light, what are your thoughts on this next matchup? We're going to Clubhouse. Are NOOTERS going to win this out, or are Achieve going to be able to pull something out again?
There's really no way to predict it. That's the unfortunate position we've been put in. Map number 1 was NOOTERS' decision of border. They picked it, yet lost it 8-7. And then I was thinking, oh, okay, Achieve will have a great start on their own map pick of Chalet, maybe a little bit lackluster because, again, it's attacker favored. They lost 7 in a row, and for all of you wondering, you need 7 to win. They lost 7-0, as you mentioned. We're headed to a map 3. Now, this is, for all of you Counter-Strike players, the mirage of Rainbow Six Siege. Everybody knows how to play it. Everybody's well-practiced. It's Clubhouse. Map number 3 of a possible 3 in our second semifinal. The winner of this moves on to those grand finals, and, well, they take on Aerial Arise.
Aerial Rise, that was a good game, but that's not the one that we're watching right now. Right now, we have map bans coming up, and map bans are very important, especially on a map like this. Map bans, goodness gracious, operator bans are very important on this map in particular. And with Hibana off the board, that means that Thatcher and or Maverick are going to be left up, both very potent operators in opening walls, and some might even argue turning CC into a completely invalid site with either of them on the board.
I like to bring Maverick and play the Swiss cheese, if I do say so myself. Achieve will ban out Thatcher. We're seeing relatively similar bans to what we've seen thus far. Hibana and Thatcher not being too surprising. I'd expect another Valkyrie ban from the Achieve side, and then Mira to close it out, because the top 2 most banned operators in CCL. Oh, but my. I mean, it's Club. That's not too surprising, but still.
Yeah, it's not what we were expecting. I mean, Wamai can be very powerful for holding the Rafters position on CC. I could see that. Honestly, is CC even a vaguely viable site at this point? And are either of these teams prepared to go to Barbar? I'm fairly certain that Achieve, I have witnessed them sending themselves to Barbar before, but NOOTERS, I have not kept as much track with them. Do you know if that's in their repertoire?
I don't. I have not seen Achieve play enough of Barbar, nor NOOTERS. Unfortunately, this is my first time seeing the NOOTERS, because they don't play in other leagues other than CCL. So
True.
I'm going to say it's a possibility, but there's no reason to believe one way or the other. Of course, you can go with the uniform way of going Church Arsenal and either Gym Bedroom and then CCTV Cash and then the other one between those two, or you can be fun and then go round 1 Barbar. They're not. To start things off, Church Arsenal is our first defensive site. A Mira is being brought. Now, Mira can be played in a multitude of different ways, especially here on Church Arsenal. Usually you see one of those mirrors being put on the main church wall in towards that bottom main stair side where Storms is prepping with that shotgun. That wouldn't surprise me. The other one is up in the air. Usually you see it thrown towards the Arsenal wall into blue, but it's up to your prerogative. You can throw it again, different positions. Nobody knows. It is their decision. Even with Mira being brought on the bottom floor, you never know one way or the other. There's that first black mirror being put down.
Yeah, Mira can be very powerful, as we see here, right? You mentioned that this main wall is a very calm position, because without a Mira on that main wall, it can be very difficult for us to, it can be very difficult to apply any sort of pressure to the main stairs. And, well, welcome back. It's me and Dan. But as I was saying, it'd be very difficult to apply any sort of pressure to the main stairs. And that is one of the main avenues to getting yourself onto this site. And this is a very interesting site. We might not specifically be seeing it, though.
We're not.
Yeah,
No.
there is a game crash on the side of our observer, which is unfortunate. We could only have Ubisoft to blame, however, and, well,
Feels bad, man. It is what it
Yeah,
is.
feels
Sometimes the game crashes. Quick shout out to our production staff, really quick, because they're awesome and the reason we can do this. Major Nova is the one observing. He's the one that's bringing you all those amazing camera angles. The reason we saw Mr. B shut out Chalet, and then Tango Mango Down, or TMD, is running production. The reason you can see our faces, and, well, the reason you can also hear the game and all the fun graphics in between. They're awesome. Go follow them on Twitter. Just look them up. You'll find them. They're cool. I think it's on the bottom bar below us as well, so you can't miss it. They're awesome. Thanks, guys. You're cool.
Yeah. Now, they're definitely moving on from that a little bit fast. I would like to point out down below, right, this little fancy like news bar below us that's got everyone, including Daniel and I. So if you want to check us out too, feel free. But in the meantime, got a little something to tell you about Basement, and that is that there are lots of different avenues To enter basement, very commonly we see players move into the kitchen, empty out arsenal, and then push their way in through dirt, down main stairs, and just start applying pressure. But it's always two. There's always two different directions that you come from, unless you're going really, really fast. Now,
We're back in. Oh, we
We're
actually
back
got
in.
back in. Look at that. I forgot we could join the game right back in. Awesome. Well, back to the basement we go, and well, from what we've seen thus far, NOOTERS are looking a little bit better, but as I say that, it's brought immediately back. Achieve Esports from the 3 versus 5 into the 3 versus 3. An amazing return into the round, but all three players are below that half HP margin, V dot below their 110 half mark of 55. So they're on the back foot. NOOTERS on the other side have a decent bit of plant denial, that being Pengu with the C4, and Mr. B is still alive, so never count them out, especially when Court still has 3 toxic babes on the board.
And only 30 seconds left to
Ooh.
go for Achieve Esports to start getting their way in, but a nice nade by VDOT is going to end the life of the mute player. Smoke is obviously still on the board. He no longer has any toxic gas canisters, and Stuz has managed to find his way through it. He is now getting the plant down, and Quartz finds himself in a 1v3. With a plant down, this is a difficult situation. He might be able to find the ace here, but it is not so. And he will actually find Quartz, or he will find VDOT though, and be able to pick up Cade. This suddenly looks like a much more winnable situation, but if they don't predict the position of Gingy, which they will, this suddenly looks in a favor of NOOTERS. What a comeback from that 3v1 we had a second ago, and now it's up to only Stuz with 1 health and a dream, but no longer. Mr. B and Quartz on that double swing, going to end his life and end the round. NOOTERS are going to take the first round of defense, but goodness gracious, was that a close one.
Achieve should not have been that close, and credit to them for being just that. They brought it back, and quickly so. Even with the diffuser down, though, it's just not going to happen. The FMG9 comes out on top of the long-range duel, and then Mr. B just closes out the final 2 frags. It helped, they were both low, but the shots still had to be hit, and everybody has that one-shot headshot potential, so they're as one-shot as you are, just, well, you have the benefit of only having to shoot their body. Mr. B comes out on top of yet another duel, and the trade potential was there. The coordination, again, coming through from the NOOTERS, that's that 1-2-3 swing. It's exactly what we see, and, well, they can build off of it. Another opening round win. They are 3 for 3 in terms of winning the first round of all 3 maps.
That is enormous. We've talked a little bit about how the opening pick can influence the course of a round. We have not talked about how the opening round can influence the course of a map, and the answer is not very much. This isn't Valorant, this isn't CSGO, but there are still, rather than this economy that we have built into the game, we have this sort of economy of our mentals, and right now we have played quite a few rounds. 15 on the first map, only 7 on the second, but that still equates to 22 rounds in total, and that is a lot of siege to play, especially at this high of a level. So these teams both really need to make sure that they are on their best behavior, maintaining their mental discipline and fortitude, or else we could see either of these teams suddenly start dipping and drop their chance for finals out of simply not having the mental fortitude to continue playing.
These teams, throughout the entirety of this season, as I look at how well they've played, a total of 4 maps have been dropped. 3 maps in the regular season between the 2, and then 1 each this time. So I guess 5 maps between the 2 squads through the whole season, including group stage and playoffs up to this current point. A singular map between the 2 squads is going to decide who goes to the grand finals and who goes home 3rd, 4th with Shift North in a little less of a decisive spot, but still as convenient for them. VDOT, trying to open things up early on, does just that, but takes an inconvenient 40 damage early on. Not a great part.
Not a great part indeed. Taking a little bit of damage while not losing your life is not going to be favorable. Keeping your life, however, as a Maverick is going to be hugely important. That's going to allow you free access into the CCTV wall, and that is going to be the main source of pressure against Achieve Esports. With that wall open, it makes it very difficult for them to play anywhere inside of CC, and then suddenly, your Raptors player, right, is going to be cut off from the rest of your team, and as long as you clear that player, you really have a good chance of making your way into sight and performing an execute.
Executions are the name of the game for the attacking side. We saw 6 of them, all successful from the NOOTERS last map. There goes that Vulcan canister. That'll open things up, but not far enough where VDOT wouldn't be able to really open up the wall itself. They are, and it is. Good time made again by the Achieve side, but we saw that last round, yet with a little less map control. Trist, however, does fall in towards the lounge position. This cannot happen. NOOTERS again drop an opening pick, albeit for the first time in this map, but we saw it multiple times on border where they were shut down because of it, and they have to bring it back quickly.
They do have to bring it back quickly. Only having 4 members on defense as the execute is getting ready to go out can be a huge detriment because you can't hold enough crossfires. Now, there is going to be a trade that might make it a little bit easier because there aren't going to be as many things that you have to hold, but you have to predict the correct things to hold. And with that breach open, there is still a gaping hole in the side of the site. That's just going to make it that much more difficult, but flashing Gingy is not going to be the play. VDOT, though, is going to ultimately find the player in rafters, and end his life. Now, at this point, we're down to a 2v2 with that kill by none other than Pengu. And Mr. B, with another aggressive play, is going to kill another. Suddenly, this is no longer looking like the attack is going to be winning this out, as Maverick has to find his way into the site and looking the wrong way. Pengu is going to finish out the round. Another round for NOOTERS, but once again, very, very close.
Close, but just not quite, and sometimes that's how the cookie crumbles. A 4K that time around for Pengu to close out the round, and the MP7 reigning supreme in round number 2. NOOTERS come out of the gate swinging again, and Achieve cannot continue to let this happen and expect themselves to bring back yet another map. It happened back on border. They lost 3 in a row, they picked up the next 3, and then carbon copied in the second half of play, but time and time again, they're going to lose over the long period of time, assuming, well, they drop opening rounds.
These rounds, however, have been very close, and like I mentioned, Achieve, while a little bit less consistently on the 3/3 splits on the last map, they still have proven to do that over the course of most of the season, and with these rounds being so close, I really could see that happening this time. Dropping these opening rounds is nothing but an opportunity for Achieve to achieve intel. I did not mean to say that. I did not mean to do that. But no, it's only an opportunity for them to get more intel on the way that NOOTERS are going to be playing this map. And I will say it is a little bit less aggressive than what we've seen so far. Perhaps owing to the fact that it is a little bit larger of a map, you need to keep your players a little bit closer together in order to find refrags. But they still do have this underlying coordination and speed, which has defined their playstyle thus far.
Maverick being brought again, this is a good position for the attacking side, but again, they have to convert, and they haven't now 2 rounds in a row. NOOTERS choosing their tertiary site as gym bedroom rather than bar, so our hopes at least an entertaining 3rd site in the rotation will not be the case, at least not compared to gym bedroom. Bar is always the more intricate one, considering it's less played, so you always have the confusion of how it may go, because there's less statistics on it. There's always that big question mark for the teams. Shu is crossing their T's and dotting their I's, doing their due diligence, as I've said before, and understandably so. They've been shut down by flanks. This time it just will not happen. VDOT with both of the openers, the Maverick M4 reigning supreme on this southeast side of the map. Both of those opening kills go the way of Achieve Esports, and now they're in a 5 versus 3. This is our first real advantage of the map.
The first real advantage, it's true, but also 2 minutes left and barely any damage done in terms of map control. NOOTERS, with only 3 remaining players, have built a nice triangle that allows them to have a crossfire with both of the other members on the team, no matter who you are. And now at this point, Achieve really need to start disrupting that. This Maverick hopefully is going to be able to do that. Nade's going to come out, but whether or not it will find an opponent, the answer is no. Pengu has wisely backed off and found himself into a safer position, but it is still just that much more difficult for Achieve to make their way into construction, a key piece of map control for this attack. If they don't manage to catch that, I don't see them being able to maintain control of the top of main stairs.
You know, if they weren't in a 5 versus 2 right now, I would be concerned we just saw an exothermic charge used on a castle barricade, but they are, so I'm not. VDOT still in a decent position over towards construction. The pincer maneuver is working out relatively well for Achieve, but this can be turned on a dime extremely quickly. 1 kill for each of the remaining players on NOOTERS, and we're right back to dead even as it stands. They're in a good position to do that. Mr. B still has that C4 and can throw it out. Would find 2 if they were to chuck it through, but opting not to do so, playing safe for the time being around that black mirror. You can see the nades being prepped. They have to back away from this, and they will, retreating towards that opening of the bathroom rather than the bathroom itself. There was somebody watching it. It was that ace on the position, yet the ace will fall, and they have to push now. They do. VDOT with a triple. It's down to Pengu in yet another 1vx scenario. Finds the first, looking for the second. It's through a reinforced wall. They have to clear Shu before doing so. The swing is there. The shots are not. Shu will win the first round here for Achieve. It took him 3 to do so, but a round's a round.
Very, honestly, I have to ask a question to NOOTERS. They spent a lot of their time during that disadvantage just kind of hanging out, and I will admit, playing behind that mirror, it's a very powerful position. You more than likely have the advantage on any sort of swing that the opponents might make. But you also have Pengu, who's not really doing anything in that situation, kind of watching your backside. But how important is that when you've got your sides still exposed anyway? I think it might be more potent and, or rather, more useful for you to be able to, isolate one of these fights. Bring both of your players over there, isolate a player, get yourself back into a slightly more winnable position, and then at that point you can start separating yourself in a way that you can take these ones and hope that you find these picks leading to the end of the round. Now we are having a rehost game call due to a game crash. That's why you're seeing everyone leaving the lobby. They didn't all just quit their jobs out of nowhere. They yeah, I mean, rest in peace. Wouldn't be Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege without a little bit of technical issues, now would it?
No, it would not. It wouldn't even be anywhere close. And I feel like it's just the bottom floor that does this to us. It was our observer, Major Nova, that had the issue in round number 1 with the game crash, and now it's Achieve Esports with the game crash. Is the basement indicative of code breaking?
I'm
I'm
not
messing
a
with you.
programmer, so I genuinely can't answer that question. I know, like, in some speedruns, like in the old Super Mario games, they would, like, move items in a specific way to literally reprogram the game to teleport you to the end screen as speedruns. Like, I don't know if maybe Ubisoft just accidentally did that to themselves somehow on, like, a lower scale, but in any case, yeah, we don't necessarily have to see basement. Historically, a lot of the times, what they would just say is if you do a rehost, you have to pick the same operator, same site. That is no longer true, because all that does is give more advantage to the attackers. The attackers decisively have the advantage now due to attacker repick, so they let you change the site should you so desire. It's not necessary, but it is definitely an option for the defenders. So don't be confused if we come back and we're on a different site.
Speaking of coming back, we're going to take a little bit of a quick break. We're going to get this rehosted. We're going to get back into the game and maybe back to the basement. Don't go anywhere. It's the conclusion, hopefully, of Clubhouse when we return.
I don't wanna see you. I don't wanna hear you tonight. I don't wanna fight you. You don't wanna know if I feel alright. I don't wanna just forgive you. I just wanna be fine. I've been waiting for a sign to light up. Yeah. And your heart is out of sight. I just wanna feel mine. Hey you. I'm gonna be the one for another one. Hey you.
Welcome back. Apologize for that brief intermission, but we're already here. Check this out. We are here in basement once again. Once again, bringing Mira. Not the elite skin, although you do see the elite operator card, as elite skins are banned from competitive play. Unfortunate. It's a very nice looking skin, but in any case, we're still very excited to see this continue going down as NOOTERS take on Achieve Esports.
No elite skins, but we definitely have 10 elite players in this one, all vying for a spot in the grand finals. If you're just joining us, Border ended 8-7 in favor of the Achieve side, while NOOTERS smacked them back 7-zip on Chalet into the final map of the semifinals. It's certainly a possibility. I'm not going to say that Achieve are out of this one, nor are NOOTERS completely through to the grands, but both teams still have a shot. And, well, more specifically, they have a lot of rounds in a magazine as we head into round number 4. Finally, everybody's SSD loads.
Finally here, returning to the basement on this clubhouse for motorcycle gang here in the good old Deutschland. You have once again the Mira being brought now. Very powerful operator, able to help apply pressure to the bottom main. And as we saw last time, it definitely did deter Achieve Esports from taking in that direction. They were able to open it up using some hard breach, but it ended up not being effective as a very, very impressive double player retake from NOOTERS ended up bringing that round back in their favor. That being said, it was very close for Achieve Esports on both of the rounds that they lost. So I would not be surprised to see them come back and win all 3 of these attacking rounds should they prove their flexibility and adaptability is effective enough to counteract these very long-time seasoned players on the side of NOOTERS.
First is getting ballsy towards Harry Potter, unnecessary early peaks using the P10 compared to what we saw in prior maps. That was, of course, the Mark 14. I think this is one of the first times, if not the first time, we're seeing the P10 brought for the Aruni. We've really seen the Mark 14 brought because all these players have a trigger finger, and they all know that the Mark 14 has its advantages. Gingy, in a good position, can deal with this Aruni. Both of them just a pixel away. Trist will be the first to fall. Achieve again opened things up. Thus far, they've had a lack of successfulness in converting off of their opening duels, but a start's a start, and they can now build off of this.
Building off of it is exactly what they're going to be doing, or rather, maybe destroying off of it. Opening up the Moto hatch is going to be very important for them. It's going to allow them to apply pressure as they decide to where they're going to go for an execute. It looks like they're opting not to go for the kitchen hatch. More than likely going to open up the main church wall and then drop Moto and go for an execute into church while some players apply pressure from behind. That is the generator area, if you're wondering.
Mr. B could still deal with this, and there's still that Electroclaw in position with the kitchen hatch. The Maverick is still alive, but with a lack of overall torch availability. They need to be able to take out that Electroclaw and get control on the top floor before exposing themselves to the over-aggression of the NOOTERS. That nade will go through, that'll just open things up and give them some room to work with, but a kill through that will give them the advantage, and a 2-man advantage to be specific. There's a lack of plant denial on the defensive side now. All 3 of their C4s are off the board, and they're now at a massive disadvantage, more than they were just 60 seconds ago. NOOTERS need a way back into this. That has to be kills. There's the first.
First of many to come, I'm sure, as we are still in a 3v4 at 40 seconds left in the round. Pressure is starting to come out for blue, but not for very long. Quartz says, no, you don't. And now suddenly this entry is going to become a little bit more difficult. Quartz is still trying to deny that. There is a Mira on the board and in the way of that position, and that is going to make it more difficult for them to enter. But they do have this counter pressure instead. Not for long, though. Storms is going to find the kill, and an entry from Shu is going to go unsuccessfully. The final player dies to the smoke, and we are moving on to round number 5.
4 kills for the 2 SAS operators, and then the lone straggler goes the way of Storms on the Mira. We saw that duel drop the thermite. Nooters take a 2-man disadvantage, turn it right around with 2 back-to-back kills with the SMG-11, and then immediately build off of the control they gained, both with momentum and with map control now being denied because Achieve had lost that mad advantage. Achieve cannot continually allow opening duels to go unconverted on. They continue to have that happen, they're going to lose. Simply stated, they will lose this map if that trend continues. I'm one that likes to follow trends, and this one is one I'd like to stray away from.
Yeah, I have to agree with that one. I mean, there is a trend. There is, in fact, a trend. Neuters, especially if we count the last map, 7-0 on the last map, and neuters so far have shown themselves to be very mechanically consistent. That is going, well, that is going to be a huge curse towards Achieve Esports unless they're able to prove that they also have that mechanical consistency. And that's a tough ask, in all honesty. This is a tough team to play against. I don't think anyone would disagree. And while Achieve is very, very effective and very smart, very knowledgeable about the game, there is a certain amount of just presence that you have to have in order to play on the highest level. We call that flow state. And well, it's tough to enter, but in a match like this, when the stakes are this high, when the challenge is there, these teams are giving everything that they have, and you better believe their mentals are in here for it, and they are all in for the long haul.
There's a mirror there. They just put down a mirror right in front of a Maverick and now just popped it. They opened up a hard breach way, not a way in, but a way for them to see through, to deny a Maverick possibility. This is such a big brain play. I don't think I've ever seen that.
I have seen this a lot of times in low plat ranked.
That's it. Well, I mean, I understand putting the mirror there like at the start, but do people put it there while the Maverick is attempting to Maverick trick?
I haven't seen it, but it makes sense. Just another way to deny a little bit of time. And now, I mean, literally everyone was just immediately forced over. They're just like, oh, I guess this isn't going to work. Guess we kind of got to go around now. And yeah, Achieve Esports all the way over here, and Storm's ready to make the flank at a moment's notice.
Good position to deal with this. Russian Reflex on the 416C, name a more iconic duo with the new additions of 1Xs on every single gun that has them. Badger on this far side will be able to open up the wall free of interruption. There is no Cade left on the board. Mr. B has been dealt with. Did that get shot from below?
I think it did.
It had to, yeah, he shot it through the wall, up through the hatch, and took it out. That is a combination, to say the very least. Trist, however, is dealt with, and that's both of this hard breach denial on the defensive side. The combination of the two were both dead, but Storms has brought it back. Just one kill was required to do just that, and now momentum can shift in the favor of the Nooters back into 3 versus 4. We've seen them in situations like this before, especially with a 3 versus 5 as well, and now Achieve have stopped. They've straggled themselves in awkward positions and have no real way into the site.
No real way at all. What a beautiful way to deny any sort of entry by Nooters, but an entry is going to come out anyway. Badger going to find a pick, opening up this execute, and suddenly bullets are flying everywhere, as well as a nitro that unfortunately doesn't land. 4v2. Oh my goodness, but he sees him and finds him, not before getting traded out though, and the plant still has an opportunity to go down. There's only one member left. It's Quartz, who is going to deny the plant again and retreat back to the safety of his own Mira. Now it is up to Senpai and Stews to dislodge this defender, or just pick up the plant and go somewhere else. Senpai, Shu, now the sole defender of this plant, and it is going to not go down. Senpai Shu gonna find the final kill. Beautiful execute, and honestly, beautiful play as well from the Nooters members. I really thought that was going to go in their favor, because just the Smoke's understanding of how to hold that position, how to maintain his very strong, just undeniably powerful positions and use them to his advantage nearly worked out for him. But unfortunately, that Smoke just did not find the planter. If it did, I think that round would have gone the other direction. But we're now in a 3v2.
Possibilities and the woulda, coulda, shouldas of Rainbow Six Siege. They could have won that on the neuter side, yet they didn't. And I think best case scenario for them would have been Courts throwing out their last Toxic Babe on top of the case they dropped in the latter stages of the round, possibly denying the push in from Stews, who ended up almost planting the diffuser and was the catalyst to the opening that Shu was able to close the round off on. Neuters don't. And, well, they lose their second of now 5 rounds. Final round of the half. And Achieve can tie things up yet again, albeit they haven't really tied things up since all the way on border. It's been a little while, but we're seeing, hey, the mirror window is put down early compared to later on.
Yeah, actually, that is a very, very good point. Achieve Esports has been on the back foot since the very beginning of round 1 of map 1. Nooters has been aggressive. They have been doing their best to control the pacing of each and every round, and they have been doing a very good job at it, proven by Achieve. But Achieve are fighting back. They're punching back, and they're doing quite well at it. Now 3-2 and 5-4. Oof. TTK, Mr. B finding an opening pick, and that's not where you want to be. However, not where Mr. B particularly wants to be anyway. I mean, he is going to get spotted out and taken care of, surely, right?
They're in a good position to deal with him. You have the Maverick down below. There's one in the window as well. The Maverick can deal with this. I think they misround him. Nope, they haven't. In goes Stews on the jump in. Mr. B has vacated the premises and somehow is still alive. Never mind. Okay, finally dies. Stews should not have taken that long to find the kill. They definitely should have gotten that one earlier on, but the aforementioned Maverick will fall down below. Storms on that long roam just chills, and Maverick walks straight into the line of sight. The frag back to even up the man count is immediately traded the other way, and Nooters still have the man advantage. Achieve have made decent ground on the lateral push on the second floor. However, it's cost them 2 players and a lot of time on the clock.
I really like how they've elected just not to even touch the main wall. They know that a lot of their time is going to be dedicated to this very specific construction wall, and Storm's playing down below. I'm not sure if they've figured out that he shot it last time because they don't seem to be aggressing that map control very much. They did have a Maverick down there prior, but Vidot has lost his life. Stews, however, is looking to aggress this, but unsuccessfully. Storms is going to find the pick, and now this is looking decisively Neuters favored.
That should do it. That kill right there should do it. Shu is a good player, but a 2 versus 4 with him and Badger puts them in an awkward position, and now Courts with the FMG9 will put them in a 4 versus 1. Shu has to push this. 45 seconds on the clock, no diffuser in hand, and apparently does not see the smoke. Even though we have X-ray vision, I think you should still be able to see that position. They don't, and now, well, they find one in the Storms. Past that, they won't. Trist will close it out with the MP7. Finishing off this round and putting Nooters in the lead at the switch of guard. The defensive side wins the first half 4-2 at the split.
4-2 at the split. Definitely nothing to shake a stick at. This is a map that historically has been considered very balanced. But with the introduction of Attacker Repick, it's hard to say for sure. Attacker Repick can be very potent. It can allow you more flexibility to enter into any different variety of attacks that you want to make. It allows you to build brand new attacks. There's a world of possibilities, and the defenders are now the ones responsible for responding to that stimulus. That is a difficult situation to be in as a defender. Unless you've set up your map correctly, it's going to be difficult for you to be able to get around. It's going to be difficult for you to find yourself in positions that you can use to help your teammates or apply pressure to the opponents.
Neuters in the attacking side thus far have been relatively concise in their pushes and have been very coordinated, especially as we saw in Chalet. It was 7-0 overall, 6-0 in the first half, which was their attacking side. And moving off of what you mentioned, they can take a lot of control quicker than we saw from Achieve. And I think that's the decisive way they've been able to win a lot of their attacking rounds through both of our first 2 maps. It's that quick play and the team play as well. Coordination and really the fact that they're nuts at the game in terms of mechanical skill. Those are the 2 massive reasons they've had such control. There's that same Electric Claw we've been talking about, by the way. Still one for your ranked games. and it lands. Look at that.
Yeah. Now, I will say the mechanical skill does seem to be very potent on the side of Newt Neuters. I think it is just as potent on the side of Achieved, but I think looking at this, Achieved seem to just be falling behind a little bit. And honestly, I think Newt Neuters do too. They've played a lot of Siege. They've had to think about 3 separate maps. And now suddenly they found themselves in a situation where it's just difficult to think. It really, at this point, what are you doing? I mean, that's the question you have to answer, right? What am I
Yep.
doing? Goodness. Oh,
C4, gotta
goodness. Oh,
land.
goodness.
Good
Oh,
night.
goodness. Oh, goodness. That is 2 opening picks for Achieve. Beautiful.
We've se- we've seen this before though. I don't want to get ahead because we've seen this before and then they've been shut down after it. They're in good positions to deal with this on the Neuter side. Nades being thrown in, dealing with some of this hard breach. Oh, they are not aware of the fact that there's a Electroclaw below. They should clear this. Mr. B, you looked right at it. Please clear out the Electroclaw. They stared right at the back side of it, in all fairness. They use this on their own defensive side. This should be a known commodity in the playbook of Achieve. Do they clear it? There's the Mute Jammer, there's the Electric Claw, and that should open things up on the Jacuzzi side.
I think he knew exactly where it was, but was maintaining his discipline, making sure he was up to his
Yay.
due diligence. Make sure he didn't die when he tried to enter in there. I mean, a swing coming out from kitchen or bar would have been the end of his life, and suddenly you're no closer to getting that wall open. Now, in this situation, though, Mr. B can still be uh, a very large threat to the defenders. Never mind. He's going to go down to Badger, who is playing a very aggressive position, but we find ourselves in a 1v3 as finds themselves in a frost mat, but not for long. Aggressive play is going to end the life of the final player, and we see a round going in the favor of Achieve. That is the first defending round, and honestly, rather convincing.
Ash, did you know that if you drone in, you are exponentially less likely to die to a frost mat?
I did know that, actually, yeah.
Write that down, kids. Don't die to frost mats.
Don't die to frost
Neuters
mats.
unfortunately have storms die to a frost mat, and Achieve were able to just shut everything down past that. Of course, the Maverick dying below. Mr. B, unfortunately, not aware of the Jaeger on the main stairs, and sometimes that comes down to droning as well. Losing 2 members early is a real catalyst to a lack of info, though. You have to gain map control and man advantages while also trying to play information. And you can't do all 3, especially with only 3 players alive in a 3 versus 5. You're not winning those duels, at least not in terms of the time against the clock, because there's not enough time for you to do it. You just cannot drone every single nook and cranny on this map, top, bottom, and middle floors, while still having enough time to build an attack around the site. That's exactly what happens there. They're shut down because of it. Strong defense from Achieve, and well spaced as well.
Yeah, not enough time indeed, and honestly, probably not enough drones either. You lose those 2 bodies, suddenly you've lost 4 of your 10 drones. That is a huge detriment. Now, speaking of drones, we have Mozzie and Mute on the board. That is, I believe Mute is primarily being used more for wall denial than anything else, but that's still a lot of info denial on the side of Achieve. That could be pretty potent. We're seeing sort of, not necessarily a traditional SSG style roam. That has very much fallen out of favor since attacker repick has become, well, it has become very in the
It
game.
exists.
It exists.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but it allows the attackers to pick exactly which operator they want to clear you out, and then suddenly you find yourself in an uncomfortable position. However, Shu is still playing on the top floor, still with a deep roam and with a plenty of info denial on his own. He's Mozzie, I mean, clearly, and not to mention, look at that, Mute Jammers to help, and
Oh!
almost a kill to his name as well. But Triss is going to be able to make his way around and find the rotate. Stews,
Oh
elsewhere on the map,
no.
is going to lose his life.
This is not the opener that you're looking for if you're Achieve. There goes one of your 4 C4s. One of them's a pre-place, by the way. Badger, you saw that near the main walk. Badger now backing away and needs to run. No longer has that Wait! What?
Wait,
Badger just died!
wait. Oh, the
Game?
post-death C4. Oh, it happens. Not supposed to happen, but it happens. So I guess that's a perfect 1-to-1 trade.
I traded himself with a pre-placed explosive that was not on a timer. That apparently can happen, by the way. Welcome to Rainbow Six Siege, ladies and gents. Here's a timed nade. Oh no. That's 60 damage to your own team.
That
Okay.
okay. I will say,
Else.
oh, okay, Trist is still gonna find VDOT, and I will say, while this does look a little bit goofy, not the goofiest thing we've seen tonight, Achieve did have some funny moments, and Gingy with a kill and nearly two finds a lot of damage onto a player, and now suddenly it's gonna be just that much more difficult for them to actually get the diffuser and get a plant down, and now, with another death, we're in a 2v2. Simba, aka Pengu, looking for this last member who's playing on box 3, but he has plenty of different directions to peek from. He has to find Pengu, and he has to be the one to swing. And with his friend off the board, he has to swing. He has to find the kill, and it's not going to happen. Finka, aka Trist, going to end his life and find another round in favor of NOOTERS, now 5-3.
That's a decisive win as well. They had a flank behind them that was dealt with well from that Finka, and then of course the 2 kills to clean it out as well. The low HP Cade that was dealt with, and the long range Mozzie easily taken care of. The LMG is just a better weapon. By the way, UB nerfed the LMG, just had to get that one in there. NOOTERS on the attacking side, continually looking strong and coordinated as well. I don't recommend coordinating your drops down a hatch where you basically walk into a meat grinder, but I'm no Rainbow Six Siege expert. I just talk about the game.
I thought you were going to say you're no Rainbow Six coach, and I was going to say, well, I am, and I also don't recognize or recommend it. So, but in any case, yeah, heading back to basement seems like they felt pretty confident on it. Maybe just deciding that if we coordinate ourselves a little bit better on that defense, we'll probably do better. I mean, it was pretty close in the long term. I think it was a 2v4, but NOOTERS had a difficult time getting onto the site, converting that top floor pressure into the pressure of the site. It can be very difficult in many situations, and NOOTERS seems to struggle with a little bit. I think Achieve is more than likely going to capitalize on that, maybe placing smokes a little bit early on. Never mind, there are no smokes. Well, maybe placing C4s in positions like we saw before when Badger got the miracle kill, where he was managed to press a button from beyond the grave.
Yeah, that can happen, by the way. I know you could go on drones from beyond the grave. I didn't know you could, blow up explosives that were pre-placed. That is apparently a game mechanic. By the way, Achieve are bringing a carbon copy of their defense. I'm not one to pick the exact same site that you just lost, but if I am, I always switch up how I play it. You have to switch up operators or your overall hold. They are not. That's the most important part that I want to mention. Shu is back on the top floor. The Mozzie is back to the roam game. And they're aware of this. They've seen Shu over towards that CCTV and cache side, and now the drone has seen them inside of logistics. They have to back away, but they're going to walk into 3 or 4 different players in various positions. Notably, they have removed 4 drones. So that's the best case scenario for this Mozzie, who, by the way, is somehow still alive, but should not be for long as the drones continue to collapse on the Aussie operator.
Honestly, 4 drones is not a terrible situation, especially when you still have the opportunity to potentially get a kill. Is it going to happen? Not likely. Oh, never mind. Maybe it is. Oh, no. The small magazine in the Roni is going to end his life, but he wasted a lot of time up there. And not to mention a lot of drones. At this point, only, 5 drones left on the side of NOOTERS with a minute and a half. They are not going to be getting any sort of intel onto the site. And honestly, I think that might be what did them in last time. If they were able to look in the right directions when they tried to go for that hatch drop, maybe they could have found a few kills, but that's not going to be the case in this round either, as these mute jammers are going to keep catching drones, and a lot of them are just not going to end up being useful down the road, especially if we see some more players die here.
Notably, both the support operators' drones are down, but that's probably a good thing now that Mr. B is dead. C4 prepped. Will it land? No, not even close, as a matter of fact. Both Pengu and Storms avoid that one. They wouldn't touch it with a 39.5-foot pole. But Mr. B has fallen, as has the diffuser inside of the memorial room. They can't leave that inside of Moto. They have to push it, and quickly as well. There's only 45 seconds on the clock, and with Achieve, with still 2 C4s available, there's less time on the clock than even the time suggests.
This is exactly what I was talking about. There is some difficulty by Nooters to find themselves from the main floor onto the site floor.
Ooh.
Now, Quartz, though, is going to find a pick before getting traded out himself, and that is going to be huge for the Nooters. That dislodges a player from a key position. But with that trade, suddenly Gingy is in a 1v2, but he has control of the diffuser. He is in a key position to be able to clutch this out, and it's going to be huge if he does. Now that Nitro is not going to find, and he is going to try and find his way back into Moto. Not going to work out for him. Storms ending his life and moving Nooters on to match point 6-4 in their favor. Or 6-3. Not sure. 6-4. 3. 6-3.
Don't do math on stream, kids.
Don't do math on stream.
Nooters on match point. Achieve Esports are on the back burner, but we've seen Achieve face 6-3 before. Albeit, I was on Border a long time ago, but they were still up against map point at that time. This time it's match point, and the stakes are just a little bit higher. Border ended 8-7 in favor of Achieve, so if trends again continue, they'll win this thing in the full extent of overtime possible. However, as unlikely as that is, it's still a possibility. Nooters have done their due diligence. They've been crossing their T's, dotting their I's, clearing their roams, and pushing with a little bit of time on the clock comparative to what we saw back on Border. This is looking a lot better than what it was, and much easier put than how it was earlier on in this half specifically.
Now, this is a site that Achieve won last time, and they are going to be looking to repeat their success. However, Nooters has the advantage of seeing how Achieve wins this site, what they do, what conditions they try to meet, and now Nooters can attempt to dislodge those conditions, remove defenders from the positions they know they want to stay in so badly, and Nooters are going to take advantage of that. Already looking at this, they know we're on this site, and they're making some switches on the attacker repick. Bringing those nades could be potent, and honestly, I think getting this player out of Logi could be super important. And these players below as well, this roam down here as well, could prove to be detrimental to the Nooters should they leave this intact.
3 C4s versus 8 frag grenades. It's a battle of the explosives, and I think the 8 frag grenades win that battle just about every day of the week. They have much more flexibility and adaptability to positional advantages that the defenders may hold that could turn into disadvantages depending on how well placed those aforementioned frag grenades are. Nooters are looking to push laterally to open things up and then pincer later on in the round. They won't open up the CCTV wall for obvious reasons, at least not early on. They shouldn't have to. They have barrage control already. Okay, Trist is dead. Nice C4.
Wow.
That's one of the C4s, and that's the adaptability that sometimes doesn't need to be had. You can pre-place that one on the floor, and bang, Bob's your uncle.
I was literally about to mention, I was not thinking about sending your nades below there, but I was definitely not thinking about sending a C4 below the nades that were below. That is, yeah, exactly what Tris said. I am in disbelief. That is just, what a read. Incredible, and exactly what Achieve needed. They are now 6-3 on the verge of losing their chance to going to finals. Whoever loses this match is going home, and nobody wants that. Everyone is going to be trying their absolute best, making sure they're staying focused and doing everything in their own human power to make sure that they win this match.
They thrown in. This is forcing Gingy in an awkward position, and a good conversion off of it. Mr. B, the refrag late, but a refrag nonetheless, and it's just falling apart here for Achieve Esports. A 2 versus 4, now just 1. It's Shu, left alone, 1 versus 4. The Commando 9 finds the first, needs to find 3 more, including that diffuser before it does go down. It's close range, and the Frostmat actually finds one. This is more than possible, but the swing is just not going to come through. Pengu, what a more poetic way to end it. The Penguins will win it. They're going to the grand finals. They will take Aerial Arise on Friday.
What a matchup, and so long. I mean, both of these teams proving to be a very good match for each other. I think Nooters definitely proved to be a little bit out on top, winning this final match, and Chalet 7-0. I mean, that's huge, but that first map, Border really did not tell that story at all. Achieved really knew what they were doing, and honestly, I think a lot of it comes down to the fact that that was just a long time. Achieved without the same experience that all the CL and PL members have, are unable to maintain their mental fortitude throughout the entire match. They didn't completely drop it. It was still very good, but just not on the level that players like Trist, Hangu, and all the other members of NOOTERS have. I mean, I think that might be something to touch on because Achieve, really incredible job in any case.
The Storm's fragging prowess was just not matched on the offensive or even defensive side for Achieve. A 4-2 split in the first half of play, and then to close it out, it was just 3-1 to clean it through. Clubhouse convincingly goes the way of the NOOTERS. They follow up after a 7-0 finish on Chalet and relegate Achieve to nothing. A 3-4 finish. They will move on to Split 2. I think that's the most important part about it. There is still open qualifiers to get through for some of the other teams that haven't made it this far, but Achieve have booked their spot into split number 2. Fortunately enough, if you're looking at it for the neuter side, they've booked their spot to the grand finals.
And what a spot to be. CCL R6S, such a competitive league. I mean, just from everything that we've seen, even just today, starting us off with the Aerial Arise versus Shift North game, and Aerial absolutely destroying and showing a completely dominant performance there, and NOOTERS as well, nearly following suit. This last matchup is going to be incredible, and don't miss it. Now, I would like to finish us off by saying thank you to our wonderful production, Nova, I Major Nova, on observation. We have Tango Mango down on our production. And also, I do want to give a huge shout out to Gooby for running the entire league. What an iconic set of people, and huge shout out to those fine gentlemen. But in the meantime, we are going to be calling it quits, and don't forget to find us in the grand finals.